Work session. Good evening and welcome to the work session of October 14th, 2025. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Howard, since you have your flag bag there, you want to start us off?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence as we remember our first responders, our military, and we'll say some extra prayers for the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, hoping that that sticks and that we see a road to peace within the Middle East. Thank you. We'll start with introductions to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Town Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Sergio Esposito, Deputy Supervisor.
Susan Siegel, Councilwoman.
Adam Rodriguez, contrary.
Dave Paganelli, Yorktown Highway Superintendent.
Okay, and before we get started on the regular agenda, there was some distressing news that came out today about some comments that were going around in a private chat with members of the New York State Young Republicans as well as others. Rather than all of us read a statement, I thought Luciana's words were very potent. So if, Luciana, if you could please.
Thank you. We are deeply saddened and disgusted by the hateful messages revealed in the Politico report involving the New York State Young Republicans. As officials and town elected officials, and also Americans, we condemn racism, anti-Semitism, misogyny, and any language that spreads hate or division. Words have power. They can build up or destroy, and what we say reflects who we truly are. The tongue has the power of life and death, Proverb 18:21. We must choose to be better and to do better. Let our words bright light, not darkness. Let them heal, not harm. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Psalm 34:13. Hate has no home here. We can disagree without losing our humanity. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Luciana. All right. Well, we do have something to celebrate today. We have a birthday. Actually, I'll talk about two birthdays, one that was coming up. But first, we have a proclamation for the United States Navy for its 250th birthday. Sergio, would you like to? Unfortunately, I did ask Alex Mandera, who's a Navy veteran, to come today, but he informed me that he was not able to make it. But we will get this over to a copy to the Post and a copy of the VFW Post and the American Legion Post.
United States Navy 250th birthday. Whereas on October 13, 1775, the Continental Congress established the United States Navy, marking the beginning of a proud tradition of maritime service, defense, and national pride. And whereas for 250 years, the United States Navy has stood as a symbol of strength, honor, and resilience, protecting our nation's shores, securing vital interests around the globe, and promoting freedom of the seas. And whereas generations of sailors, active duty, reserve, and civilian, have served with distinction, upholding the Navy's core values of honor, courage, and commitment in times of peace and conflict. And whereas the 250th anniversary of the United States Navy provides a meaningful opportunity to reflect on its storied history, celebrate its accomplishments, and express our gratitude to all who have worn the Navy uniform in defense of liberty and justice.
Great.
And whereas we also honor the families and loved ones who support our sailors, as well as the Navy veterans whose legacy continues to inspire new generations of service. Now, therefore, on behalf of Edward A. Lachterman, we hereby proclaim October 13th to be 2025 as the United States Navy's 250th birthday and encourage all citizens to join in commemorating this historic milestone by recognizing the valor, sacrifice, and enduring legacy of the United States Navy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Navy, yes. And I did want to wish a special 100th birthday coming up on Sunday to Philomena Lou Remsen. We were asked if we would recognize her birthday and do a proclamation at Town Hall, but unfortunately she did not feel comfortable coming out at night. So, my wife and I went over this afternoon, actually this morning, met with some of the neighbors, some of the relatives, and we were able to celebrate a little bit with Lou. I did skip the champagne, but the cake was delicious. One of the neighbors baked. But what a special lady with great stories, sharp as a tack, a lot sharper than me, I think. And it was just such an enjoyable day. Lou, we wish you a very, very happy 100th birthday, and look forward to getting together again and chatting. Thank you. All right.
So I just wanted to touch on Columbus Day. You know, it's a very proud day for Italian Americans. And to be quite honest, I say this every year, and I'm going to go off the cuff this year. I don't have anything prepared. But the true meaning of Columbus Day has nothing to do with Christopher Columbus discovering a new land. It has everything to do with the unfair persecution of a human race. That's what Columbus Day is all about, and we don't learn that in school, and that bothers me. Because years and years and years ago, I think it was 12 or 13 Italian people were arrested over a charge. I think the charge was they were accused of murdering a chief of police in Louisiana, in Georgia. And so what ended up happening is they went to jail, and while they were awaiting their trial. And the New York Times and other newspapers, because back then lynching was like a thing, right? It's amazing our history, and you look back, some of the stuff is just that made sense back then is just ridiculous nowadays, but and not tolerated. But what ended up happening, they put an article in the newspaper calling, I believe the exact term was, Italians were vermin in need of mitigation. That's how they described Italian people. And to be quite honest, I'll go on an aside. The term mafia, that's not an endearing term for Italian people. Back then, it was actually a very derogatory term used against Italian Americans. Anyway, the crowd gathered, and they about a mile away from the jail, stormed the jail, and I believe my numbers might be a little off. I'm going off memory. 8 or 9 of the Italian men that were in there were murdered, cold blood. So now it became an international incident. And before that, the consulate reached out to the governor of Louisiana, and the governor of Louisiana slow-walked it. And the Italian consulate, I think his last name was Corti, he told them something bad's going to happen here. They ignored it. And what ended up happening is Italian people died. Blood was shed for no reason, right? If there was going to be a trial, there was going to be a trial, whatever. So what ended up happening is it became an international incident. And so the Italian consulate pulled the consulate from America, from the United States. The U.S. retaliated and pulled the U.S. consulate from Italy. It became very, very, very heated. And in comes an American president, forget his name at the time, and what he wanted to do is he wanted to stop the insanity. He wanted to do something and just quell the all the unrest. It was actually the first time an American president recognized Italian Americans in the United States. And so what he wanted to do is he wanted to give the Italian Americans a day of recognition. But it was supposed to be a one time, right? But they didn't know what to call it. So they looked at Enrico Fermi, all of these famous people, all of these people that were accomplished Italian Americans. And they settled on Columbus. You know why? Because it just so happened to be the 400th anniversary of him discovering the new land. That's the only reason why they call it Columbus Day. What Columbus Day really means, it's about the unfair persecution of any race. So when people talk about it, and they say they want to rename it and all of that stuff, I understand. But I don't think those people understand what it really, really means. Because if you did, then it would be something that would be celebrated. Because don't we all speak out against this kind of stuff? Right? People be getting persecuted for the color of their skin, the religion that they believe in, their sexual orientation. It's all wrong. That's what Columbus Day is really all about.
Thank you, Sergio. It was 1892, and Benjamin Harrison was the president. It was a one-timer, and then Franklin Delano Roosevelt actually made it, perpetuated it into a full holiday in the 40s. Thank you. All right, so we're going to jump into personnel. From the Human Resource Department, authorize Angela Cavallo to be transferred from the Highway Department to the Water Department as a stock clerk, job class code 018-01. And be it further resolved that Angela receives a stipend of $5,000 per annum for assisting in preparing the monthly New York City DEP reporting and annual water quality report. Appoint Heather
Can you
McVeigh.
skip that? Let's do that separate resolution, please.
Okay, appoint Robert J. Reddy Jr. to the position of motor equipment operator, stock clerk, job class code 0426-02, within the Highway Department, effective October 20th, 2025. Okay, can I have a motion on those two?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and appoint Heather McVeigh to the position of Deputy Town Engineer, job class code 0371-02, from the eligible list 88-992010. Susan, did you want to talk or just vote?
Yes, I'm going to vote against this. Has nothing to do with Heather McVeigh. Back even before I was on the board, when the town board voted in the 2025 budget to add this deputy engineer position to the budget, I spoke against it as a resident. I am against it now. I think a reorganization may be needed in the engineering department. We do not need 2 professional engineers plus another civil engineer, and I would wait to appoint anybody to a second position until that reorganization and a total look at the workload and the types of work that 3 staff members have to do, what levels of skills we need. That's why I'm voting against this.
Okay, and as we've had the discussion, our town engineer is drowning in paperwork. We need another PE that could actually stamp, that has her full PE. Where we have a civil engineer who could go out and do inspections and help with things. He does not have the requirements that are needed legally for that position to be able to stamp. In addition, there's like a yin and a yang, where our engineer is great with the engineering aspects, the professional organization that needs to happen for this is something that we looked for in a candidate, to make sure that we were able to have someone that would complement the department and not add additional skills that are already there, but have a different skill set that would help in the organization.
And also, you want to name that we are not outsourcing?
Cor-
We've been doing it within house to save our residents money
For
and
the most part, yep.
Yep. Well, we've not been outsourcing, and we have similar-sized towns like the town of Cortland that actually has 3 PEs plus on their
Outsources.
staff, and they still outsource. So we do try to keep everything in-house as much as possible. There are some jobs that do need to go out based on specialties. So
Look, this is
We-
this is a
there were
woman-
10 people in that department at one point, right, Sergio? Didn't Dan tell us 10
I
people?
don't.
No, never in engineering. Not in the years that I've been
Look,
involved.
I think in terms of efficiency, I mean, I know, Susan, you've sent some emails to Dan where you're like, where is this and where is that? And he's like, I'm working on it, because there's just so much going on. This town is a buzzword activity. This will increase our government's efficiency in being able to get projects turned out. Get things back to our residents. It
And I-
doesn't necessarily mean big projects or little projects. It's stuff that residents are waiting for as well. and I think it's a win-win. I'm ready to vote.
All right, and
I just think
will-
it's all a question of what staff we currently have and what their skill levels are. And if we have problems with the skill level of the ones that we have, then that's a separate issue, and we don't solve that issue just by hiring a third person.
Well,
But I
we're,
don't
we're
Hold on.
actually hold on.
Guys,
hold on.
let
We're
me-
actually taking the advice from our department head. So saying flippantly that we're just hiring people to solve this and that's completely misleading. All right, Dan came to us with an issue, and we're trying to resolve it based on his department and his view of his department and what he knows the skill levels are. That's why we're doing this.
And if
We're
I
not just,
if
like,
I may,
deciding this.
if I may, there's also the fact that a lot of people don't realize we're one of the few municipalities that have our own wastewater treatment plant, and the wastewater treatment plant is a special set of skills and testing and education that is involved in that, and this applicant happens to have that experience as well. It's some of the stuff we were looking for.
And also, I just want to name, Susan, I'm not discounting what you're saying, but they're two different ends of the coin. I think it's important for us to make sure that the skill sets all meet what we need as the flow, but we do know that there's a lot of scarcity in that department. So having somebody else there will not cause any harm.
We've expressed our opinions, and we can
Very good.
civilly disagree.
Absolutely.
Very civilly disagree.
All right, so can I have a motion to appoint Heather McVeigh to the position of Deputy Town Engineer?
I will make. Oh, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see, I think that 2131 is coming off the agenda. Let's talk about, let's have Hudson Valley Prestige Enterprises. Do we have someone from, okay? Please introduce yourself and go for it.
My name is Matt Silvestri. I'm one of the owners of Hudson Valley Prestige, and I just wanted to bring an opportunity to the town here that's currently available, given the current incentives that's being offered by Con Edison with regards to electric vehicle charging stations. We can set a deal right now with the current incentives that Con Ed's making through their Make Ready program, where little to no out of pocket to install these stations, and then allow the town to actually earn revenue off of the charges that take place in those stations.
Do you have certain locations in mind?
I was thinking municipal lots specifically, but that was where I was going to go first, was with the municipal lots. And right now, the Make Ready program for level 3 DC fast chargers are very significant, where these jobs could be anywhere between $600,000 to $750,000 and no out of pocket to the town to install, based on the incentives that are available right
What
now.
does the revenue look like coming back to the town on something like that?
So what we do is we benchmark it as one. We're going to say one car a day for each port. It could generate an upwards of $26,000 a year in revenue to the town, where after the cost. So basically, I have to get the exact kWh that this area pays to Con Edison, but so typically it's somewhere in the 25 to 30 cent a kWh range. We would charge 40 cents a kWh, and the town would reap the revenue on that.
And as a mother, I just want to know, what does it cost me to maintain it?
The maintenance is the warranties are 5 years, and they're fully warranted.
I mean, my kids tell me that all the time, and I'm the one picking up the helmets, so I just want to make sure.
No, absolutely. It's the whole plan, and I would lay this out. We have to cover your electric costs for whatever that charge is. So if you're paying 25 cents, we pay the electric. It's going to have its own meter. It would have to be approved by Con Ed, obviously, and Department of Buildings.
Right.
And then you would charge. We're doing this currently upstate in town of Lloyd. They had Tesla stations put in 10 years ago, and they were free to the public. It was costing the town thousands of dollars a month, and not only did that completely go away, but we're cutting them checks now for thousands of dollars, and they're able to now use that money to help
Infrastructure.
So you're basing the 26,000 on one car
charge
a day
per port.
But there's going to be more than that.
and that'll just
I
go
mean-
up. I can't predict that,
Usage,
so
yeah.
I use one as a benchmark.
Right. So so on some days there might be 3, on other days there might be none. Like on a Sunday afternoon, or Sunday with a lazy Sunday, or
Right.
and so what? One second. And so somebody comes in, they pull in, they swipe their card, they swipe their app, whatever they got to do,
Correct.
right? And then they're paying 40 cents per kilowatt hour, whatever the number is.
Whatever it
let's
ends
say
up being,
40
correct.
cents. It's not an accurate number, just so this way we're clear.
Correct.
So on the 40 cents per kilowatt hour, you're paying the actual cost of the kilowatt hour is 30 cents. So
Correct.
the net profit is 10 cents.
Well, so the cost associated with that is the electric. There's a software fee
Okay.
for turning it on, an activation.
Okay.
You got to pay an annual fee to have the software
But
running.
you cover that.
That's covered in the cost of the charge, and then the profit is after all costs are paid.
And the maintenance, it's got a 5-year warranty.
Got a 5-year warranty, so there's
What
little
happens in
in
the 6th year?
the 6th year. DVM will cover, or Hudson Valley Prestige and DVM will cover the maintenance.
So the town's not
Not on the hook for
maintaining it.
anything
and-
after the install.
So define little to no cost, because no cost I understand is zero.
Correct.
Little cost really depends on how you view that.
Yes.
It's $600,000. You know, $100,000 is little.
Right.
So-
It's been no out of pocket so far for the other municipalities that we've done this in. It's been zero out of pocket.
What would
And this would be the first level 3, so the way these EV chargers are set up, you got level 2 charging stations, which are typical in multifamily, where you park it at night, plug it in, wake up, and you got a fully charged battery.
That's what I have, right.
The DC fast chargers is what I'm talking about for Yorktown, is a 20 to 40 minute full charge from a dead battery. They've just increased, Make Ready program has $380 million in incentive monies that they're looking to load out to put level 3s on the streets. And that's the fund that we would be dipping into to cover the cost for this work.
I have a simple question.
Sure.
When you figured one car per unit, are you figuring 40 minutes or are you figuring that one car for 24 hours?
No, it's one charge, one full
One
charge.
charge.
One full charge
One
from a
car,
dead battery.
one charge, one unit.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Numbers could be a little tricky.
No, absolutely.
Most shark attacks occur in 3 feet of water, that kind of thing, you know?
And one other thing too is the Con Edison, which is different from other utilities. Con Edison will, if say you don't have the capacity to handle these chargers in that particular municipal lot based on what you currently have, I mean, Con Edison will upgrade the service as well to make sure that can take place at their cost.
Okay, so this is Con Ed. This side of town has NYSEG.
NYSEG also has the same program. We're doing work for not the municipality, but some projects up in the NYSEG territory as well.
Okay, and we do have a member of our Climate Smart Community Task Force who wanted to know what happens if we get our power from the New York Power Authority on some of these. And so on some of them we are contracted with New York Power Authority, and we pay them for the power at a discounted rate versus Con Ed or NYSEG.
I would have to look into that. I don't have that answer. But I know NYSEG and Con Ed are similar with their programs.
And usually they're the ones funding those other programs. So we'll see. Yeah.
Can you find out about what the supervisor's talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Get back to us.
Okay?
And there's
I
no
might have-
advertising on the machines, is
No,
there?
no.
I might have missed something when you talked about the revenue to your question. You said $26,000 for one car.
One car a day per port. Not a day. One car, a dead battery to a full charge a day
Yeah.
per port. We'll get-
Okay.
And how many ports does one of your units
We,
normally
we
have?
were
4?
we were anticipating 6 ports, 3 dual stations in the lots.
And the $26,000 number is something that would come back to the town, or we get a piece of the 26.
It's the 20 cents.
It would be whatever that delta is between what we're charging and then what
And the
your
upcharge.
costs are and the costs. Yeah.
So if it's $26 cents and we're charging 40 cents, it's 40 minus 26. That's
Right.
what comes back.
Right.
That comes back to the town.
Correct.
And if a chooch runs it over or pulls out one of the plugs, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but people do drive away with the gas. Yeah, that happens, right? Like, is that all under
It's
warranty?
all covered under warranty.
Okay. Just making sure, because that does happen.
We've had them stolen.
Oh,
as well.
see, and okay, that's even worse. I just meant like an accident.
Can I don't have an electric car, so this is kind of new to me. But somebody commented online talking about an EV charger station that's going to go up someplace else in Yorktown. And their response was, I'm paraphrasing, why do we need that when I just plug it in my house? So why does somebody, and maybe you can answer that if you have an electric car.
Sure.
Why do you need a place like this?
It's very simple. It's what happens if you're going beyond the distance of what your car can go. For example, on a full charge, you could go. I'm going to give you dumb numbers. You could go 20 miles.
Yeah.
Right, but your house is 30 miles away. Where do you charge? You can't get to your house to charge because you're short 10 miles. So you stop here. My friend he loves he's full electric. Mine's a hybrid, and we were at a funeral in Mystic, Connecticut, and his car would not make it from here to Mystic, Connecticut and back on one charge. It's just not realistic.
So how does somebody
So you
know
stop.
how does somebody
So-
know that there's a charging
Right.
station there here in Yorktown
There
when
will,
they're
there
coming
will,
from
there won't,
Mystic,
there will
Connecticut?
not be any advertising on the actual EV stations, but it will go into a database that'll tell you where the nearest EV chargers are, and that would be in there.
Oh, okay.
that is
So
right.
that's the advantage for somebody traveling who can pass through
Yes.
Yorktown.
If somebody needs to charge, they go onto the app and it tells them exactly where all the charging
Where the nearest
stations are.
fast charger is or level 2.
It'll take them right there.
Now, don't forget that the thing that we're saying is we're assuming that you leave your house on a full charge. You might not. Maybe you're running late. Maybe you forgot to plug it in. Maybe the power went out last night. Whatever. So you might only have 50% battery left, and so you'll come to Yorktown and work, and even maybe they'll say, okay, let me go for 40 minutes. That's incredible.
So somebody even.
Mine takes 2
somebody
hours.
shopping
Mine's 8
will
hours.
Top off their car.
Yeah,
I barely charge my phone.
You know, if
My
you
car's
look
not
at
very
sales,
efficient with
which
the
is up,
electricity,
you
but
know,
it saves as it
you
generates.
wanna
As it,
top off the
I
car,
got all the
plug it
buttons
in,
on.
go do your
So
shopping.
it's. Look, I mean,
Well,
electric cars are here to stay.
I
so.
do have a question for our attorney. Is this something that needs to be an RFP?
I need to understand a lot more about the project. I'll have various questions, and they should send me a proposal, and I can communicate with them. I have a lot of questions.
It's a great idea.
Be happy to answer all.
Absolutely.
So if you could arrange for a
Awesome.
proposal. It's a great idea. We're looking at more and more opportunities to become greener and greener through the town, and this is something that we've spoken about. So it's great to see a program like this. We have one going in the library, which is through a grant through Con Edison and the county. And, there's going to be another round, but we're not assured that we'll get it.
Sure.
So it will be very beneficial to have some extra cards up our sleeve
Absolutely.
for the river here.
And I don't know if you have a card, but all of our stuff is on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you can
Thank
get them a
you.
proposal.
Yes.
Can I say
Thank you.
something before we go? Maddie's company, DVM, is one of the biggest in New York State. My company, HVP, we're an affiliate of his. He's kind of the parent company for us.
That's great.
But these guys know the business
Matt, can I have
the
one of
best
those
as,
too?
any company
Matt.
in New York State, you mention their name and they're one of the top in the state, so it's,
They're the most charged.
well, they,
They're the-
it's because of the other stuff that
That's
they do
awesome.
too.
Thank
They
you.
I
do
guess I could ask
solar
my
panels,
brother's a supervisor there. I'll ask him about you.
but they do a lot of other things too. They do LED retrofits and stuff like that.
So, Matt, you're good to
solar
know.
panels, all of that. Anyway,
In the
thanks
right
for your
industry.
time.
Yeah. No, thank
right.
you.
Thank
Look
you.
at that, and you're out of Long Island City. I mean, when I
I
saw
have one
trees
of
grow
your-
out of
I
Long
have-
Island City, that was a big day.
I have one of your signs in my daughter's front yard.
That's awesome. You're doing it. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night.
And thank you for your support.
What you said before, it was very well said.
Yeah, about Columbus Day.
Happy Columbus Day, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, 2824 Stony Street, Diamond Bay, and do we have? Are you representing Coda also?
Yes.
So so 2830 Stony Street. John and Dan, do you guys want to start to migrate up front for some questions? I'm sure.
As she holds multiple hats.
As an engineer, I just want to say thank you for hiring another engineer in the town of Yorktown, and Heather McVeigh is great.
That's wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for that.
We could have used that before we hired her. The
Yeah.
recommendation.
That was a great recommendation.
She used to work at the Westchester County Department of Health.
That's what I heard, yeah. She was at the county.
So I have two clients. Originally, one client bought both lots on Stony Street. They're existing tax lots. And subsequently, he sold one of the lots, and I'm still representing that client. We received Westchester County Health Department approval for septics. They will have town water. It is also in the watershed, so New York City DEP was involved in the septic approval. And then we came to the town and we realized that we needed a tree permit and a wetlands, an erosion and sediment control permit, and then we were just about ready to get that done when Will from the engineering department said there are these two water courses that show up. They don't. They're
Streams,
not.
yeah.
They're not New York City. I mean, they're not New York State wetlands. They're not even listed on the mapper as federal, but they show up on a quad sheet. And on the site, they're sort of like there's runoff from the road because all the drainage from the road runs downhill. These lots are challenging because that's what's left. So eventually water,
Makes its way.
congregates together and we get it. It's like an intermittent drainage ditch for both of them. So so it's regulated by the town of Yorktown. So we put the wetland buffer on and we have extensive areas of development that are within the wetland buffer. But they are, intermittent drainage ditches, not technically wetlands.
Yeah, so it's almost like a little swell. Like it has
Yeah,
its own drip.
like about halfway down the lot, they sort of
Dissipate there.
comes together and it gets concentrated. And so with the development, runoff will go in the same, pattern. There is a state wetland, but it's well below the end of these people's property. It's like on the other side of another parcel. But everything eventually gets to the state wetland.
Yeah, it's usually how it works. John?
So I received John. No, so we went to the tree committee, we went to the conservation board, then we went back to the conservation board, and then we came to you and you sent us to the planning board. So we went to the planning board. The planning board said they're two tax lots. They don't really have any quote planning comments, but John provided me with some overall comments on the site development, which I've gone through and really have no problem with addressing. I went through them. I spoke with John before he wrote his letter, but I did review the letters. The only thing is for lot 10, I don't see that I can really move. Quote, it was like move structures. I'm not sure. I think it was the larger lot.
John,
No,
you know better,
the other
John.
one.
2830 maybe?
Yeah, I can pull them up on screen in just a second.
John, while she's looking for that, did you address steep slopes in your letter? And are we on any steep slopes over here?
We didn't have any information about what the slopes were, but they did.
Is there a steep slope?
Johnny boy. He said Johnny boy.
He's cranky. The Rangers haven't been doing too
The
good
plans
this year.
didn't identify steep slopes. I
Okay.
don't think there's,
They're not as aggressive as.
it didn't seem like it, but, I mean, you could take a look at them.
John,
Well-
may I ask you a question? I'm sure this is, Dan or you. None of this so-called water in these little swales and what have you is coming off my roads, correct?
No,
These
no,
are not catch
absolutely not.
basins that are discharging there with the hope of getting to the state wetlands.
No.
Because that would mean that would be wetlands, correct? That you're working in.
There is actually a catch basin on one of the lots.
Okay.
There's a town
Where does
drainage
it daylight? Do you know where it daylights?
There's a town drainage easement
I
on
think-
one of the lots
Okay.
that
Yep.
you will
Yeah.
probably visit from time to time.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
So you haven't witnessed anywhere where my piping is daylighting onto your properties that you're representing?
If I can get connected. I don't know. I didn't walk to the bottom of the lot because
Okay.
they're very deep.
Because usually that's how it would run. It would run from point A, Stony Street, down through whatever property it was adjacent to, into a wetlands, which is the New York State wetlands that you just discussed,
Yes.
On the
correct?
back on the other side, right?
Right.
I know that whole side of Stony Street, all goes down.
Yeah, I just want to be sure there's no disruption, in the flow from our
Oh, I
catch
understand.
basin into the wetlands.
No, we're not going near your catch basin
Okay.
or your pipe.
Very sensitive about my catch basin.
Okay.
Since Ed brought up the question of steep slope, several meetings back, I brought up the suggestion to the town board that the town should consider a steep slope ordinance. And I did this with several projects in mind. The two projects on Stony Street, the Toll Brothers, which is currently in planning board review. Steep slopes is defined as anything above 15% grade. And the supervisor just told me earlier today that at the November 25th,
25th.
Twen-
We're not doing it on Thanksgiving like you wanted.
25th work session, we will have a discussion. I think the first step is the town board has to decide if it needs a steep slope ordinance. And then if it does, then we have to consider writing one. There are multiple other municipalities in Westchester and throughout New York State that have these types of ordinances that we could review. The ordinances that I have seen regulate both when the planning board deals with something, but also in the Stony Street, it would be a case in point. You don't have to go to the planning board. This is strictly a building permit from the building department. And I don't know that they, at this point, have any involvement in assessing the impact of the proposed development on the steep slopes on the site. And this would be one thing that would be considered in a steep slope ordinance. So my preference would be to expedite the town board's decision whether to have a steep slope ordinance and then to get one drafted and go through referral, public hearing, and review, and it can be done on an expedited basis, and then deal with your particular application. The property has sat there for many, many years.
Yes.
And so I don't see, unless you want to say there's some absolute critical need why this has to be approved within the next month, that we delay it until sometime in January when the town board, if it puts its mind to if it decides, it can get this done quickly. It's not that difficult an issue, and since we have ordinances, we're not writing an ordinance from scratch. We have multiple versions to look at, and many of these types of ordinances, quite honestly, are cut and paste from other municipalities with input from our own town officials and staff, what works for Yorktown. There might be something missing in another one, or something in Community X doesn't apply to Yorktown, so we take that out and we custom tailor it to us, to our needs and our concerns. So I think this can be done quickly if we have a commitment to get it done so that we don't hold up your project.
All right.
Right, and-
So can I just address that?
Sure.
Okay. If there is a steep slopes ordinance, then there would be a steep slopes permit, which I would apply for, and it would just be another permit. So I don't think that there are going to be any different environmental concerns that you're going to address with a yet another permit that we can't cover with the wetlands permit and the erosion sediment control permit and the tree permit. Like there isn't, even if there's another permit, we're still looking at the same parcels. We're still looking at the same impacts.
No, we are not. The wetlands permit looks at one thing. The erosion control looks like it's something else. The tree looks at something else. Some of them are related and refer to each other, but the steep slope ordinance specifically deals with steep slopes and all of the very technical issues that our engineering department, which is the place where this would typically get reviewed in town, may be looking at some of those issues, but I don't think in all of the planning board meetings that I have attended for many, many years that the steep slopes have not gone into that level of discussion. Certainly not in the Toll Brothers. to the degree to which I've seen when I've read the town of Greenberg, for example, or the town of Harrison, have similar but different ordinances. The level of detail for reviews, because when you start disturbing steep slopes, you are opening up the door to a potential host of problems. They have to be treated gently and carefully, all right? And this takes detailed engineering review that I don't think, and I'm with no disrespect meant to our building department, but they know the building code. And I don't know if they're equipped to deal with an engineering issue and slopes of retaining walls and the types of soils that are there. They don't look at that, which is something that is looked at in a steep slope ordinance. So yes, unfortunately, for some properties, you do have to end up with multiple permits. That's the nature of the game, because not everyone has a wetland, not everyone deals with the erosion control. Most everything does need a stormwater permit. Okay?
Driveway permit.
Driveway
A
permit.
driveway permit.
And I have steep slope specifications at highway.
All right. So yes, it's the nature of the sites, and as you said, we are left in Yorktown with the sites that all have problems, because that's why they've been left over
Yes.
for all of these years. And they do need, different aspects of them do need special care, and that's why I am thankful that the supervisor has said that we're finally going to schedule this meeting in late November to get this done. And I think if we put our heads together, we can get it done quickly. This does not have to drag on for months.
Susan, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. And thank you for putting half of what I told you upstairs out in front of the horse. But the other half is that I do not find it appropriate that someone who's been working through the process already, that we change the playing field and move the goalpost. I said I believe that our professionals could work together to make sure that if building has any questions whatsoever, they could talk to our engineering department, they could talk to our planning department, they could talk to Dave, and they could address these to the nature as it's already been addressed in working in Yorktown. We have not had the steep slope law, ordinance, although we have worked with steep slopes in the past. I do not find it appropriate, as I said upstairs, to change a playing field on someone who's in the process, because we may or may not feel that there's a need for it. So from that point of view, we will be doing this. I do not think this will affect you, but we will be instructing the building department to look at all of these issues with our town engineering and our town planning to make sure that they are appropriately addressed.
With all due respect, I think that had the board scheduled a work session earlier, okay, after I proposed this, and with so many applications pending, that we could have addressed this sooner.
But
With all due respect.
the issue is that, you find the way the planning board and you haven't even spoken to the building department to see how they behave on steep slopes. So you're assuming that they don't know what they're doing, right? And so you're under the assumption that we all agree 100% with you that there's this big issue with how we handle steep slopes. And I don't think that's the case, and I think the supervisor just pointed that out. So you're saying, with all due respect, if we had it earlier, with all due respect, we might not necessarily agree, or maybe some of us agree, some of us don't agree. I don't really see a problem with the way steep slopes are being handled. I'm looking forward to a discussion. Matter of fact, I'm the one that said, let's put it on the agenda, let's talk about it. But your assumption begs the question that we all think that this is this urgent matter because, we're destroying the land or something like that. And I don't really think that's the case. I do, however, we did agree that we were going to have a meeting on Thanksgiving and Susan was going to cook dinner for all of us. And Susan agreed to that. So maybe we'll do
No,
that.
no, absolutely no.
I thought you
Steep
agreed.
slopes, yes, turkey, no.
No, all right, no. So then we can't do that then.
Yes,
So,
John, can you come to the
But
mic?
I just want to respond to something Sergio said. When I brought the issue up, I said the board needs to discuss whether they want a steep slope ordinance, okay? That's a discussion that could have taken place weeks ago, meetings ago, and then they could have said, no, we don't think we need one. End of issue. Sorry, Susan, we disagree with you. That would be fine. That would have been the end of it.
So,
But we
Susan-
didn't have that discussion.
Susan, actually, when you did bring it up, John, please, thank you. No, give me 1 second. When you did bring it up, we exactly had that conversation, but out of respect for you, I decided that we will have a full-out discussion on every point instead of it. But there has not been an appetite of anyone I've spoken to individually,
I think that was the language
except
you
for
used.
yourself.
Well, then
for
let's
doing
not
that.
even schedule it in November.
No,
If you're
I'll-
saying
I'll
now
sch- I
that you've
will-
made up your mind that you don't need one,
out of
then it's a waste of time in
out
November.
of respect, we will do it because you may have some other points. No one really had the appetite to say, hey, what we have in place is working, so why do something? So I'm more than happy to, explore it. I spoke to John in depth and in detail about the pros and cons and what we're missing, what we're not. And, basically we can probably sharpen our pencils a little bit to put something in code, but it's not this urgent imperative thing, because we do have mechanisms in place that not only have been working, but will work through the future. And John, I think you wanted to say something, so.
So steep slopes you can handle through the secret process, okay? You don't need a law to enable you to look at steep slopes. You can look at them as a matter of course, which the planning board does, and you do also when you have a project that has them. I'm going to use the example of Toll Brothers, which in no way, shape, or form did the planning board sort of look the other way on it. We were talking about the steep slopes on that project from the very, very beginning, and I was also pointing out to the planning board before they did their own site visit that when you look at this project and the way it's being built, it is manipulating the slopes in such a way that's creating some steep slopes. It's not on steep slopes for the most part, but it created some steep slopes between their developed areas. That was looked at. Those are engineered slopes. We looked at those. The steep slopes on the existing site were around the built field, which, as you can imagine, you create a bench and you end up with some steep banks there. That's what that was. So in this case, what you can do is ask Ms. McManus to, on her plan, identify what the areas that are steep slopes, if any, and then you can deal with it in terms of mitigation measures before there's a law. And you can go through a host of things that you may know about in other laws, a laundry list of things, and I've seen some of those laws. They are basically a lot of procedures and things that you should look at that professionals look at without them
Being told
coming
to look
through in a verbal exchange. But they are part of what we look at. So anyway, you can do it. You can do it immediately and not wait until a law. And that's my suggestion on this, so that they don't have to wait for this public hearing.
John, to the best of your knowledge, do you think that the building department, which the Stony Street applications will go to the building department, they will not do a full-blown seeker like Toll Brothers did? Will they look at all of
No.
those aspects?
No,
They will not.
that's correct.
Okay.
In this case, you will. So
Only if the board thinks that the steep slopes need the attention when it comes to the building department, and that some of those issues within some of those other laws need to be looked at.
what I will tell you is that if you're going to create a steep slope, it's going to be a permit that I don't think necessarily will be issued by the building guys, the
No,
building
it would
department.
be, I
Because
think, the engineering.
those guys have expertise in structures, not necessarily that kind of stuff. So it will be another wetland style permit that goes to the engineering department,
It's
so
an
on and so forth.
engineering issue, yeah.
Right, so
Absolutely.
in that case, many of your building permits will be caught in one of these things. Realize that.
If a steep slope permit is needed.
Yes.
Believe it or not, we tried to do a steep slopes law probably 30 years ago. There was a problem on Stony Street, and the board was concerned about it. This would be on the west side of Stony Street as your first getting off the Bear Mountain extension. And what had happened was the driveways were very steep. So instead of adopting a steep slopes law, what we talked about doing was developing criteria that would be a trigger to send it to the town board if the cuts were of a certain depth, or after you grade how wide the excavation would be. But at that point in time, the legislation we have today wasn't in place. So as you know, you're seeing single-family homes are coming before this board. So they're getting full referrals. So even though the building department isn't doing seeker, every single-family home that's being built pretty much is either before the town board or the planning board for approval. So the steep slopes are being considered and reviewed and dealt with and reviewed by various town boards and agencies. So I just wanted to, and things aren't slipping through the cracks.
I didn't think so. Thank you,
just,
Dan.
So just come, you know, I think we have something that we're potentially going to schedule, or we are scheduling to discuss this, right? So let's get back on topic because
Yep.
she's here and you know we're way off base here.
Ms. McManus.
I like the discussion, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if we're going to do it in a few weeks, then let's do it then, not now.
So we've been referred out already, correct?
Yeah.
Diana? Because I know we've received comments back on this.
We have received comments, but we sent the comments out early, remember? So I don't believe you've been referred out officially yet.
I'm sorry.
Were you referred out officially yet? I don't believe so.
Referred out official to the planning board,
No, not to the planning board, from the town clerk's office.
from the town clerk's office to be a public hearing?
No, we're not. The town board would have to vote to give you a public hearing.
Yeah, I don't think we referred out from your office. I think we just
Okay.
did it gently through, because you went back to the conservation a couple times.
I've been a lot of bouncing around.
It was almost like a
So-
soft party. So we're gonna refer it out.
I would ask to refer it out and set the public hearing for November 18th because that's the only time we're going to have it.
Okay.
November 18th.
So,
Let's do it.
So I can address all the comment letters that I've already gotten.
And then you'll
And
probably
you're
get
going to
do a
get
full
more.
packet.
You're going
Right.
to get more.
And you'll have more and you'll have a bit of time.
Have so much time.
see, I think
We
that's,
can't wait to see you again.
Go ahead, John.
yeah,
One more. We're closing this up, right?
Yeah.
Right now? Okay. Tree Commission still has some issues, and as does, I believe, Conservation Board. I know that they know what they want to do, but they haven't seen the results of what they had asked for, so they still need to see that.
Yeah, she said she's gonna get them a
so
package.
we're going to refer out anyway, and,
Yeah.
and then, so, have a motion to refer out and set a public hearing date for
November.
Tuesday, November 18th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And you're going to look at the steep slopes for us, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we are, you
Just
know,
not
we're-
just.
there are steep slopes. We're taking those into account on where
Great.
the house is being built and how it's being built into the hillside, so.
And
we're
just
looking
stay away
forward to
from
seeing
Dave's
what you
pipes.
find out.
So
And
that
I'll
was,
stay
that
away
was,
from, and I'll call you about your highway, your work highway driveway.
Yeah, that's just a big concern with respect
for
to the
that for
potential
both of you,
homeowners, when
both of us.
everyone whose process is here present for this process is long gone, and all of a sudden it's like, Dave, I can't get out of my driveway. Shouldn't have bought that house.
all right, and then, just
Thank
to
you. Thank you all.
clarify, that motion is for both 2824 and 2830.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all. Thank you for all your time.
Have a great night.
All right, Colliers Engineering on an update for Route 118 in Underhill.
Uh-oh, he's got the big boards.
Yes.
He loves those boards, this guy.
So. So just for a little history here, we've been spending a lot of time in meetings on the 118 Underhill. We do a weekly update at this point on the things that are needed to be done. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the permission to go on with my meeting, Dave. We have weekly meetings to see what needs to be completed, where we are in the progress. I thank Colliers. You guys have been very responsive to things. I want to give a special shout out to NYSEG, who actually got their job done a full week early. But
Is that too loud?
no, they did a great job, and I would like to have Colliers share a little bit about what is happening and what the final product is going to be again, because there's still questions, even though this has been out there quite a bit.
Good evening, Philip Greeley from Colliers Engineering and Design. I'm here with Rich D'Andrea, who's been involved with the project since day one. Just a quick introduction on it. Dan is going to pull up a plan that just shows the overall intersection. So, as part of the intersection improvement, there were certain shortcomings of the existing intersection that were identified. Primarily, I'll focus on the left turn coming down Underhill, turning left onto 118 northbound, especially in the afternoon rush hour, is problematic because we have a single lane approach. And the volume of traffic making that movement, together with the through movement and the more minor right turn movement on that approach, creates backups. There's been an accident history there because the intersection is offset, and really the lack of turning lanes and control based on current design standards. So just from a historical standpoint, we went through a review process with New York State DOT. They had numerous inputs. We refined our designs to, as we were designing this, they were going through changes in their signal designs of what they required. They shifted from what we call loop detectors, where they're cut into the pavement, to what they called hockey pucks, to now cameras. So the cameras, and you'll see them along 202, they've already installed them. They're doing it throughout the region. In this particular case, we have 2 cameras that will be at the intersection, and the cameras are used to pick up the detection zones, so it can visualize where vehicles are queuing, and it's more efficient, less maintenance involved. As with other agencies, New York State DOT does not have the manpower to maintain, and with the current loop system, if a loop gets cut or gets damaged, the system goes out of operation. The signal includes a new controller. In this particular case, the intersection right now is what we call a span wire design. There's 2 poles with a span wire. As part of this design, the improvements will have 4 mast arms. And the mast arms are being positioned on 118 far enough back, if future widening on 118 occurs, that those will be in place and can accommodate the loadings. So there was a lot of thought from both the town, from our standpoint, from DOT, to make sure what we're doing will not just resolve the current problem, but be able to accommodate additional traffic in the area as things happen. So right now, and this is just a snippet of a simulation, and what this depicts is on Underhill, the 2-lane approach, a separate left turn lane, a separate through lane, through right lane, and with a matching left turn lane on this approach from the town hall here. So you would have, that's a relatively low volume, but an area where vehicles can stack to make the left turn so that the through traffic can move.
More flow, yeah.
As I indicated, the intersection is offset today, so this is also fixing the alignment. So
It doesn't look like it's fixing the alignment from your picture, but
yeah, so
I like pictures. You know?
yeah.
So
But from an alignment standpoint, the left
It
turn
is.
movements will be aligned, and the through movements will be aligned.
So we could see where the adjustments are going to be.
Okay.
which is very important because the way
Yes.
the turn is now, if you're making a left turn coming up from Town Hall onto 118 southbound,
Your position.
you're in like the middle of the street, and people are coming at
and
you.
that's
100 miles.
been the reason for. So there's 2 things. There's accident history because of that.
Yeah, well,
It's inefficient because some people don't know when to make the turn, and the offset intersection creates a less efficiency. One of the other improvements that's part of this is southbound on 118. Right now, people use the shoulder, which technically is illegal, to make that right turn, to turn onto Underhill. There will be a dedicated right turn lane that will be under the signal control, and that does a couple of things. One, it controls the movement. That right turn lane will be able to move at the same time that the phase for the now that we have a separate left turn lane. Under current conditions, you have an advanced signal for that approach. That was done many years ago. We had recommended that to the state, and it had alleviated, some of the backups.
So people on 118 will be able to make a right turn onto Underhill simultaneously as the people on Underhill make a left turn
Correct.
onto 118 northbound.
Correct. So you will improve that efficiency. The other component of this, which is very important, is pedestrian movements. So right now, there is only a crossing of 118 from the sidewalk to the town hall. The channelization island is being removed on that approach, and the crossing will be shortened. It will be upgraded to full pedestrian signal control. All the sidewalks in that section are being rebuilt, ADA compliant ramps.
Will the sidewalks be blacktop or concrete?
At the intersection, everything is concrete. And continuing up on the hill will be concrete. That's what's been approved and in the plans.
It will,
Similar to what's on 118 and in front of Town Hall today, but it's
so on Underhill, it will be concrete, let's say on the south side of Underhill where there's asphalt now. that will
Correct.
be Up through to Rochambeau?
Right now, the permitted plans extend up past the access, past Cardinal Court, up past pretty much opposite where the current driveway is to the Underhill property. That's the limit right now.
So in essence, the area of disturbance that exists now,
Correct.
where we have the sign that says sidewalk closed, and we're
Yes.
forcing people to walk on 118.
Yes.
On Underhill.
On Underhill.
Okay.
So it stops short.
So
It's short
It-
of
then
Right
that's something we discussed, I think, at the
Yes.
last meeting, correct? That
That's
we're
correct,
trying to
Dave.
work out a way to make it concrete. in its
So right
entirety
now,
to Rochambeau.
that's where it terminates. We're looking at trying to replace the asphalt sidewalk that's there today. There's no widening being done there, but to replace the asphalt sidewalk with concrete all the way up to Rochambeau Drive.
Right, so make it more
at
fluid.
whose expense?
That's what is being looked at. We're getting costs from the contractor. It was beyond because it was beyond where the widening was, it's beyond the scope of what's being done now. But since we have the contractor here, we've requested prices to extend that work.
How many feet, roughly? Do you have any?
I'm going to say it's over 400 feet.
I don't know whoever put asphalt there anyway, but
A lot of the older sidewalks
Yes.
were done like that, unfortunately.
Can you explain?
Actually, most of the sidewalks in town, unfortunately, were done with asphalt because it was cheaper for the
Well,
developers,
all right.
period.
Hanover as
Explain
well.
the two
in that part.
pedestrian
Pick a
crosswalks.
neighborhood.
If I'm living in the new Underhill Farms building, and I want to use sidewalks to get to Brooktown Green, where will I make crossings to get onto sidewalks?
If you're going to cross at this intersection, well, you have two options. You can, if you're going to Yorktown Green Shopping Center, you can go through Beaver Ridge
Yeah.
to Allen, which is the shortest distance to get there.
Or let's say I want to go to town hall.
A-
Let's
ab-
say I want
absolutely.
to go to town
No,
hall.
I'm just saying, I'm pointing it out because that is a shorter path, and there's a crossing at that location also. At this intersection, if I wanted to leave the development to
Excuse
get
me one second, gentlemen, please.
to Town Hall,
Thank you.
you would cross, as you can see on the picture on the screen, there is a new crosswalk and a new pedestrian push button on that corner. So that would be the northwest corner of the intersection. And if you wanted to get to the southeast corner of the intersection, which is where Town Hall is, on the right-hand side, lower right-hand side, you would cross Underhill in that protected crossing over to the crosswalk, which is in a similar location to where the current crosswalk is, and then cross over to Town Hall.
it shifted over a little bit because
Yes.
you're getting rid of the island because currently, you have a crosswalk that goes to the little island.
And then it
which
connects.
is like very short,
Right.
which is like,
Yes.
and then the crosswalk that connects across
Right.
the street. But because they moved the pole and all of that stuff, and the island's coming out.
It's going to
you
be
had
a straight
You
crossing.
had to move the crosswalk to the left
Correct.
if you're facing it. Yeah.
Didn't
Correct.
the original planning board approval have
Yes, I'm
Okay,
going to get to that.
cross-
So,
cross-
as I
crosswalks.
indicated with the review with New York State DOT, we have 4 new mast arm signal poles going in, and we have new pedestrian signal controls on those corners that I just pointed out. The plan was designed to accommodate, and all the widening and everything is in place for additional crosswalks on all 4 approaches to the intersection. That is not part of this current contract. It's part of the permitted design by DOT, and that would be a future phase at the intersection. There's funding being pursued, and we've been working with DOT to try to get certain things on the agenda so that the town is not paying for these
So
things.
what-
But it was
what
on
would-
the original plan, excuse me, it was on the
It
original
was,
plan.
it was,
taken out of the contract.
it was asked by DOT as part of their initial review, could we fit pedestrian crossings on all 4 corners? And it was added to the plan.
And it was on the approved site plan.
Correct.
Okay, that's,
What would be involved to add the additional crosswalks? Are there any buttons involved or anything like that?
There
or is
would
it
be,
striping?
there's an additional ped pole, and Rich can correct me, on
Pedestrian.
on each side. So there's one on the site side, a ped pole, on the Optum side, I'll call it, of the intersection, and then one pole on the northwest corner where the Underhill project is.
So the 2 corners that with the
And the
bottom right corner and the
original,
top right corner.
I'm just going to add one other thing. With the original, when DOT originally asked for that, the requirements, so the original ask, there actually could have been placed on the mast arm pole. You'll see them attached to the mast arms. Because of the changes in the design regulations, they have to be within a certain distance of the actual crosswalk. So that requires you to put in an additional ped poles.
So what's a ped pole? Like explain it.
A
to the public.
pedestrian pole, so
I know what it is.
yeah.
just, you know, where
it
you
has
put
the
a
push
public-
buttons and the control,
hand,
the
walk,
indication.
don't walk. Okay.
Correct.
So now it's a little bit more convoluted. If you want to go to the Optum building, you've got to come across to the town hall side and then cross over again.
Correct.
As
That's
opposed to-
that's what the plan is currently.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Actually-
you don't have the 4.
Phil, isn't there a crosswalk though a little further north?
Yeah, at Allen Street. That's what I mentioned before. So, and I've done it when I walked through town. That's from this property, you walk through Beaver Ridge, out to Allen, and you cross at Allen. If I'm going to Giuseppe's or to somewhere in the Yorktown Green Shopping Center, that's actually the shortest distance.
But you're going through the private property of Beaver Ridge, right? It's like going through my backyard to get to someplace else.
There's a connection to the property, and
Yeah.
that's part. That's it's
All right.
it's the same as me walking through Optum's property to get over to Town Hall if I'm not walking up on the sidewalk on 118.
Yeah, everyone does that. If you go to my office, they go through the back of Uncle Giuseppe's.
I was there Saturday morning on my walk. So, so getting back to your point, yes, it's providing the access. It's designed to accommodate those future additions. So it would be 2 more ped poles, some additional curbing work for the drop ramp for the crosswalk itself, and the painted crosswalk. But it's designed to accommodate that.
And there are no sidewalks on the north side of Underhill, on the Underhill Farms property. There are only sidewalks on the south side?
Only internal to the
The
property.
internal,
Yes.
nothing there. So they
Yes.
have to cross over Underhill Avenue.
Yes.
With, I assume, a pedestrian crosswalk marking.
There is. Further up on Underhill, there's a crossing that connects to the Underhill property.
Are you going to put any kind of rapid
RRFBs, yes, yes.
Are you going to put that in?
That's part of the plan, yes.
That would be, that's not part of the contracted plan.
No.
is Underhill Farms committed to doing that?
I believe it was either a condition of approval or something that was going to be evaluated based on the actual demand. But it's good.
That's
It's
more of
laid
our
out with
conversation
that.
on Underhill Farms, not
Because
their
that's an issue, because for them to use the sidewalks on the south side of Underhill, they're gonna have to cross Underhill, which, depending upon the time of day, could have a lot of traffic both ways. And
But
so you want to
they,
safely
they
cross.
can access the crosswalk on the northwest quadrant of this intersection to cross. There's a pedestrian access from the project that connects down to that crosswalk. And there's a landing area as part of that plan. So if you look at that area, there's a stairway.
But there's no sidewalks if they walk along Underhill on the
No,
north side of Underhill.
internal, they would have to be
Internal.
internal to the project. And there's no sidewalk on the Underhill side. As part of that design, the stone wall is being maintained, the roadway is being widened, all the drainage is being upgraded in that stretch right now. Part of it was an open swale. So to accommodate that widening, maintain the stone wall, there's no room for a sidewalk, but you can walk through the actual development to get to that corner if you
Yeah, but
wanted to.
Then you have nothing there, because there's no crosswalk, no pedestrian crosswalk or pedestrian activated light to cross 118.
You would cross to the south and then across towards Town Hall.
All right,
But that's the interim condition.
okay.
A couple of other things, let's see. So we talked about the camera, the replacement of the mast arms. The mast arms are set back to allow for future widening on 118 if additional lanes were added there. The current plan, the delivery on the signal poles is they were put expedited. They're coming in November 20th, I believe is the date.
The master?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, because I remember there was an issue with them.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
There's been so that's been advanced to get those in place so that the signal work can be done before the winter and have all that done.
Will all of
in
these
terms-
improvements have to be done before a CO is issued for any of the buildings there?
So in terms of the operation of this intersection, the current plan is to have all the curbing, sidewalks, the widening done. The top course will not be done until next spring because we run out of the final paving time with DOT at the intersection. And in the interim, there would be temporary striping that would be used so that it could be operational.
Will the signaling be in place?
The signaling will be completed this year, yes.
Will they be in place before CO is issued? I don't know the timeframe for any of the buildings.
I don't know what the time frame of COs are in the buildings.
But I know we're looking at the signalization to be done before the end of the year.
Correct.
And I don't think they're looking for a CO until January or February, so we should be.
And your temporary paving's gonna be binder to grade?
Yes.
Yeah, we did not think it would be a great idea. I think that was a meeting you missed, to mill and blacktop in the cold.
in mid-December?
Yeah,
No,
but
but
not the best.
not the almost ideal paving situation.
Right. So, to make sure the road is done right and lasts, we will wait until the spring thaw.
This all has to be fully operational. I mean, I get the top coat and all of that stuff before anything.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise,
Well, so we're
has
right
to be
now.
done.
Right now, Phil, we are. I know they moved the high voltage wires, and NYSEG is totally off the poles.
Correct.
We are waiting for Optimum and
Yeah.
Verizon to finish their surveys.
There are 3 communication systems on the utility poles. Verizon, Optimum, and I forget the third
Right,
supplier.
Lightpath, that thing.
And that I think just provides service to the Optum building, I
Okay,
believe.
but just to answer Susan's question, like, and I guess to follow up with what you're saying, Sergio, this has to be working simultaneous. It is a part of the project. But Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. The AG's office goes ahead and works with the condo units or the townhouses, and then their TCOs and their COs also come for more than just this one road. Because what Susan's saying is the development can't get a CO unless this road is complete. And I don't necessarily think that that's correct. I think that part of the building layout could get a certificate of occupancy, maybe a temporary certificate of occupancy, but
Well, I don't think they have started work on the condos.
correct. And
So
they have
we're
to go
deal-
through
we're-
approval for that as well.
We're dealing with the multi-use building, all right, which will have rental apartments and the condo building.
But I'm
So
saying when
what
they
I'm
go
s-
to get approval for the temporary certificate of
No,
occupancy,
well,
this
I'm
is all
saying,
working.
no, well, I'm saying if according to Phil, all of the work minus the top coat because of the paving will be done, okay, and should be done before a CO is issued. And my recommendation is we should not even issue a temporary CO until all those traffic improvements have been done minus the final
And
paving.
I guess I just want to say that I've worked with the AG's office where we have given TCOs as long as the work is being done, because things do happen. It does snow in March and whatnot. So I'm just asking Adam, because I understand the site plan is connected to the bigger thing, and obviously they're gonna have to produce the site plan to the AG's office about easements.
This doesn't have to go to the AG.
Yes, when they do the condos and stuff, they have to show
We're
where
not
they're
doing,
pulling.
we're not,
I'm asking Adam, because it's
Everybody
a
take a deep breath.
multifaceted
Okay.
development, will or will there not be ways while this is being done that there could be TCOs on the property? Because a lot of people live under construction.
I have to go back to all the resolutions to see what conditions were put in. I don't recall off the top of my head. My recollection, though, my best recollection is that we conditioned the closing out of the site plan on the roadway work and may have conditioned
I believe you're right.
COs on. I don't recall.
But I don't
I'd
know
have to
which
go back
COs
over
they
it.
are, so I'm
But
just very curious.
I believe you're right. I believe
Because there
this
will be
has to done.
commercial.
Well, I think that the COs for the new buildings, the road has to be operational in the facet that it is. It doesn't have to be paved, the top coat paved. I understand that there may be an issue getting rid of one of the poles in the sidewalk, so they might have to do that cement work after the fact. But the roadway will be operational before they get a CO.
It has to be.
Period. The
I'm
end.
just saying there is
On-
multifacets here, so I just want
I
to make
can't
sure.
wait till you guys move that pole that's right on the corner that all the cars hit all the time.
I just don't want to mislead the public
I
by
just-
saying
People
it's
crashing
being
that
covered
pole all the time.
and stuff.
this town has
It's got phases.
a not very
It's a new
happy,
construction.
pleasant, satisfactory history with temporary COs. And I would caution that we do not give any temporary COs until the road, with all the improvements, minus the top coat, is functioning.
Well, I can only.
Once again, as long as the road is functioning, we'll
If
look
it's
at that. And as we
functioning,
said,
everything minus the top coat.
so Phil, we may be waiting because I know Optum has a huge bundle. Did we ever get in touch with LightPath?
Yes.
They're going out tomorrow.
Okay, so they're going out tomorrow, so we'll know more after tomorrow. Great. Verizon has a fairly large bundle on there also.
Correct.
And these fiber optic telecommunications are imperative for hospitals, for our emergency services.
Absolutely.
So I know there's they are very careful, cross their T's, dot their I's, and that when they need to do the splicing, that work will happen overnight, correct?
That's what was relayed to us, correct.
Apparently, this is like a central kind of like hub where all the wires for everywhere kind of like travel through.
Yes.
So, all right. And then right now they're doing curbing.
Correct.
When will they be laying sidewalk in?
Starting next week.
Yeah.
Starting next week.
It's moving along.
Yeah, and I've also gotten like a lot of compliments on like how the traffic flow is moving, even with the people there. So
Any construction project, you're going to have temporary traffic delays. We try to do the best to coordinate everything.
I think you guys are doing a great
There's
job.
some hiccups, but
But we have quite a few people in the trades in the room today, and of course, we all know that everyone wants it done, but they don't want the inconveniences that come with
Understood.
it. So, but they are there, and I think they've been doing between Verde and Abbott Price. They've been doing a great job mitigating some of that and really making sure it happens. So,
I gotta
Thank
tell you,
you.
I want to give a shout out to Dan. Dan has been out there. I met with him like maybe 2 times out there. He's been out there like night and day, So Dan, good job, bub.
And I'll thank you guys, because I know, I remember the meeting we had in August on the signalization where they were changing plans on the trunk of a
fly,
car.
yes.
And saying, well, now we need this, this, and this, and you guys really,
Sometimes you have to just push back a little bit, but
Yeah.
But we come to agreement. So
no, it was great. So, and I understand you have my big charts for me.
oh yes,
So we will have, we'll keep these up in the boardroom. We will have some maps, so if anyone does have questions and wants to look at the signalization a little more for better understanding, it will be here, and how we're widening the lanes, and I'm sure we could get a copy of this onto our website as well.
yes,
So if you could work with Robin.
yeah, and we'll also get the actual construction plans too. I mean, these show everything finished product, but you know what goes into the signal design and the operation is
People can see the levels of
very
the
complex.
non-shiny things underground.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for being here. We definitely appreciate it,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
and have a wonderful evening.
You also.
Thanks a billion.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about sewer revenue. Dan?
Is Dan stuck in it? Oh no, he's got it. I always wonder if he's gonna get the program up. I feel like I need a whole page for this. Always.
Are you fishing over there?
Yeah, it's a big.
Dan, what are you doing?
I just have a laptop with an old battery.
It's a good adventure.
Screw. All right. So we've been talking about this for a long time. We have a variety of ways we collect revenue at our various sewer districts, and it just seems it's about time that we just sort of do some cleanup and try and develop a methodology that's equitable to everybody involved. Of course, this ain't working.
You got to probably click on the slide.
No, I wasn't on.
Oh, it works better when it's on, Dan.
There you go. All right, now we're in
You
business.
need a new PE for that one.
All right, so let's do a little quick background. So there's basically three types of sewer districts we deal with. Benefited area, we used to have one, we don't anymore. A benefited area was when we built the original plant, that you cast a wide net because you don't know, because everybody isn't going to connect at once. So you can't keep just adding little incremental pieces to the plant every time 10 people connect. So you create a benefited area. Now, that's originally how the plant and the initial upgrades were done, but as time progressed, and I think to some extent it was probably also impacted by what was happening with Peekskill, which is also a benefited area. The people were saying, you know, and like the extension we're talking about, I'm in the Halleck's Mill district, I'm paying sewer tax, I don't have sewers. So we no longer use the benefited area. The other type, we have a number of these that are still active, and that's when something like the Halleck's Mill extension, we establish a district, and that cast of characters, those properties all have to be separate from everybody else. There's a known boundary, there's known improvements, and we establish a tax rate for those people. And then finally, we got to run the stuff. So the capital cost is paying off bonds. The O&M is paying personnel, buying chemicals, electricity, all that kind of stuff. So those
the
are the
cost is like a it's like a math, like, because you buy into the district, so it's like, is it like a math?
I'm
When
sorry.
somebody would say, well, how much is it going to be to buy in, right?
Well, a buy-in is a different thing, because a buy-in, basically what you're saying is, if you had, whatever, 50 people that have been paying tax for 10 years, and then somebody figures out he can get there, he shouldn't get a free ride. That if he connects, he's got to buy into the equity that the other people have.
Got it.
So a buy-in is to basically pay catch-up for what the
they've
other,
already
because it
paid.
wouldn't be fair, if somebody just says, let me, I didn't, because you run into something where somebody maybe fights a district, doesn't want in, so you take them out, then somebody else buys that house that the guy fought it, who didn't
And now
want it,
wants it.
and now it's like the sewer's right next door, why can't I connect to it? The buy-in kind of is a way to deal with that inequity.
So I will ask the board, jot down your questions, save them towards the end, because I don't want to take Dan off path.
Oh, okay, sorry. I
Dan,
thought that was important for
You
them.
want me to lose my momentum? Thank
but
you.
you got it. I don't
All
wanna
right,
keep-
so now we'll get to assessments. We have to, when we do construction costs, we can't do it ad valorem. The State Controller's Office requires that you have a unit charge methodology. So that's how we assess those properties. We use a formula we've been using on most of the districts where if we factor in things like the area of the lot, the amount of frontage, the number of units. So say, for example, if you're in a neighborhood and everybody's got 50 feet of frontage and there's a house on either side, you can handle two homes with 50 feet of pipe. If you have 100 foot of frontage, now 100 feet only gets two homes. So there is a nexus between, why you're doing this, because you're trying to factor in how much what it actually costs you to build the thing against, how much the people pay. Especially if it's a mixed bag, you have small lots, big lots. The people in the bigger lot neighborhoods, it's costing you more to serve them. So operation and maintenance, so that's the question mark. How do you do that? Now, we had looked at trying to come up with a unit charge, and the more we got into it, the more we realized it's kind of difficult to come up with a method to equitably assess different types of property. An example I could give you is, say, for example, you could have a 2,000 square foot laundromat that uses a ton of water, and you could have a 50,000 square foot self-storage
There's none.
that does nothing. One's assessed at a much higher value, but the other one, the laundromat, puts more demand on the system. So after trying to come up with a fair way of doing it, it really kind of brought us to the point, well, the most sensible thing to do is utilize our water meters we have all over. We collect sewer rents in some areas, but this would, give us a more equitable way to tax people based upon what they use. So existing districts, Yorktown Sewer is just one district. Then you have the Peekskill districts. So in Peekskill, we got Clover Road, we got Overlook. Now, the color coding is the guys that are blue, their debt is paid off, but we still collect O&M. So they're paying both ways. They're paying in their tax bill and they're paying in their water bill. So Clover and Overlook's still paying off debt. Mohegan East and Suncrest, both of them are still paying off their bonds. Mohegan West and Gomer, likewise, still paying off bonds. Hunter Brook still got a bond. Hunter Brook 202, which is the business area, they're paid off. Bonnie and Jill, Osceola, they're paid off. And Oakside still has debt. So you sort of have this hodgepodge of some people are paying taxes through their taxes, some people are paying through the water, some people are only paying through water, some people are only paying through taxes. So you get my drift that this is just, evolved over the years, but it's really kind of crazy what we got. So what I'm suggesting is all those blue guys should just go away. We shouldn't collect tax from them anymore. They're built out, the bonds are paid off. The other districts we have to keep because they still have outstanding debt, so they can't go away. And as I mentioned previously, that debt has to stay with them. We can't, put it all together. They've got to be, that's discrete parcels that were in those districts has to stay in there.
So, Dan, just an explanation that this is really what the separate taxing districts are. We speak about this often, the fire taxing district. Each sewer has its own district, and these have to be money collected there, needs to be spent there. I can't take your money that was paid to Gomer and put it into 202.
Correct, yeah.
Can I just add one other clarification for the people in the peaks, in those 11 Peekskill districts that you identified? These taxes that you're talking about and charges are separate and totally distinct from the separate tax that they pay to the Westchester County for the operation and maintenance of the treatment plant at Peekskill. So that's a separate charge, because some people would have two charges, like the ones that have debt service, they're paying they're paying for their Mohegan East taxes, and then they're also paying Westchester County.
Until the debt
And the-
service is done.
Yeah, but the Westchester County tax will continue as long as their sewage flows to the treatment plant at
Yeah,
Peekskill.
and the county, unlike our benefited area setup, what I think is really made the county thing more of a problem was, in our benefited area, everybody paid for the debt service. Nobody was paying for operation and maintenance. Peekskill is one district. So whether you're connected or not, you're paying the debt down and you're paying for the operation and maintenance.
But doesn't finance know that certain of these districts is done with their debt and should not be getting taxed right now?
But they're paying, what my point was that, like Osceola and Clover and Bonnie and Jill, they still have to pay the county tax.
But that's fine, that's the county tax, but are they still paying sewer tax? If they,
Well, yes or no.
Let Dan answer the
if
question.
they looked at
please.
their bill today.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back,
Dan answer the question.
I'm just saying,
So-
Danny, is there a
so-
letter
so-
where it went out to them, letting them know that please look out that your sewer tax, as of today, is it's paid off. Like you have like school loans, it's paid off, and you have a county tax or a maintenance tax, but it's paid off. Or are we collecting sewer taxes from districts that should be done, and finance is still collecting it?
well, I mean, I'll give you an example. Clover Road, the bonds have been paid off probably for 20 years. We've been collecting money that goes to operation and maintenance, but they're also paying on their water bill.
So why are they paying twice?
That's why we're here.
No, that doesn't make
So Luciano, once again we are trying to
untangle the yarn.
No, we're trying to solve the sins of our fathers. This is something that was set up decades ago, and one of the projects when I came in was to try to find something that was equitable for everyone, something that was fair and equal.
Yeah, I'm grateful
And-
you're looking at these things.
And
They're-
we have. It's been a lot of work, as Dan said. You think one road, and as you get further and further down the road, all of a sudden something else comes in, and you're off on a path, another different path. So it's taken a while, but that's why.
And what I should point out too, just going back to a conversation we had earlier, that when I look at these districts, the ones that were designed and constructed solely by the engineering department without outside consultants, Clover Road fits into that, Mohegan East, Mohegan West, most of Hunter Brook, Bonnie and Jill, those were all designed in-house without having
and
to
they
pay
were
a
able to come out
consultant.
of debt faster than the
Back
others.
in the day when we had the resources to do it.
Yeah. Hence why we need another person.
It's otherwise you're just going to end up hiring consultants. We've
And then you
done
have to pay that off as well.
right, so that goes into the whole mix. I digress. Sorry.
Go on, Danny.
So to sort of the lay of the land as far as what we're maintaining is, if you look at Yorktown, we've got a treatment plant, we got almost 61 miles of sewer and 8 pump stations. When you look at what goes to Peekskill, we don't have a sewer treatment plant. The county runs it. We got about 60 miles of pipe and 8 pump stations. So that's what we're trying to, the one exception really is the wastewater treatment plant still has outstanding debt. So what we collect for that also includes outstanding bonds for the latest upgrades, which were the nitrogen, the nutrient removal, and the microfiltration, sand filters. Even though DEP paid for it, we still
Had to
had to
leverage.
contribute, so there's still bonds we're paying off for that. So this sort of mosaic here gives you
Watercolor.
gives you a sense of all the different sewer districts that are on the books that we collect taxes for, and where they land in the town.
It's a lot.
This is where the water funds that revenue we receive from water billing. So again, it's a bit of a patchwork. Some of it overlaps, some of it doesn't. But again, the objective is to stop kicking the can down the road and roll up our sleeves and fix this problem. So the existing rent situation is Yorktown pays $1.20 per 1,000 gallons. And the Peekskill districts presently what we call Chalet, which picks up all the condos in Mohegan and some of Mohegan West, is in the Chalet, and that's strictly, the revenue stream on that is strictly through water usage. And then we have Shrub Oak, which was kind of some, originally was supposed to be some of the stuff kind of west of, rather east of the Parkway. It's sort of academic at this point because we charge them the same rate anyway. But as far as what's in the water department's billing software, that's there's 2 separate funds. So we're proposing is to move Yorktown to $3 per 1,000, and then in the Peekskill districts doing likewise. Chalet $3, Shrub Oak $3, and then we created a new one. We're calling it, right for now, infill users, to just pick up everybody who isn't in Chalet or Shrub Oak. So the objective is everybody who's connected to the Peekskill plant will be paying $3 per 1,000 gallons of water use, and the only difference from that will be from that first group of people who still have outstanding debt. They would still be getting something on their tax bill. So somebody like, say, if you lived in Clover Road, Bonnie and Jill, Hunterbrook 202, you would no longer be receiving a tax bill. It would be solely in the O&M. And from a bookkeeping point of view too, just think about it. That we can't. If somebody happens to go out to Clover Road one day, and it's almost impossible to predict. And doing it like this, you can see that the amount of infrastructure in both of them, in terms of the number of pump stations, the number of miles, it's about the same. So it makes sense to do it like that. So this is kind of how the revenue breaks out. So you got your current scenario where we've got, was that 485? And now with raising the rate and doing the Peekskill infill, you're about $1.5 million. So that's what it does for us. So to take it to the next thing, like how do we implement it? We've circulated simplification to the revenue section of the sewer code. So we've got some discussions ongoing with that. So I think with maybe a couple of tweaks, we could advertise that code and amend our local law to accommodate this change. The fees, we also have to revise in our master fee schedule to correct that. And what that lets us do too, we don't have to wait for the budget, that if we see we're going to have a shortfall or we're overcharging, we can always just amend the master fee schedule to make a mid-year correction if we find we're not on target to meet our needs. And then finally, we got to just revise the budget because a number of funds are just going to go away because we don't need them anymore.
They'll change.
And then we're going to create a new fund, which will be this, Peekskill Operating District, which will get its revenue solely by the water usage.
This was a lot of work.
So that's the
let
story.
me just add something. When there's going to be this new charge, especially for the Peekskill people, of $3 per 1,000 gallons. Okay. What will happen if they look at their tax bill now for the districts that are paying off a bond, let's say Hunterbrook or Goma Street or Oakside, while they will still be taxed for their capital costs, their tax will go down because right now in their current tax in 2025 includes operation and maintenance costs. Those will disappear. So their budget will only be one line, debt service. Okay, they will have no O&M costs the way they have now. So while they will have to pay more on their water bill based on consumption, the tax that they're paying right now will go down. So it will really depend on how much water they use. And water you can control to some extent. So
Yeah,
one
and
will go down, one will go up, and this will also affect for the Halleck's Mill people because the tax that they pay that covers the operation of the plant, which is separate, will also go down because there'll be additional revenue from their consumption costs for the O&M.
Well, that makes sense.
So this will all be reflected in the 2026 budget when it comes out, and people will they'll see the change in their sewer tax, but they will not be able to judge their water. Well, they can look at their water bills. Their water bills currently tell them how much they've been consuming, and they can do their own calculation.
They can extrapolate
They
from
can
there.
extrapolate what their ending up cost. Will it be the same? Will it be a little less? Will it be a little bit more? They can control, but you can control your water usage to some extent.
Yeah, and just like I was giving the example of the commercial guys, the same's true. You could have an extended family or a family with a bunch of kids, in one house, and then you have some empty nesters in another house. Should they really, they shouldn't be paying the same amount for the service, because with Trans we have pump stations that use electricity, more wear and tear on pumps. We're in the treatment business, so we use a lot of electricity at our treatment plant. We use a lot of chemicals. So all those things are sort of usage dependent. So again, there's a sort of nexus between tying what people pay against how much of a demand they put on the system.
I think the other issue that the town will have to continue to look at in 2026 is, since all the expenses for both sewer districts are actually paid for out of one fund, basically the Halleck's Mill Fund, the Yorktown Sewer Fund, we need accurate accounting of what the O&M costs are for Peekskill. It's easy to say we had to buy a widget for, a Peekskill pump station. Clearly, that's a Peekskill O&M cost. The question is more complicated when you deal with labor. Suddenly something breaks down in one of the Peekskill pump stations, and staff who are paid out of the Yorktown budget, the Halleck's Mill budget, have to go over and spend 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours fixing something in Peekskill.
Well, I don't think that was your decision to put it all at one.
No, right, and
Well,
right.
no, I mean, what does happen, though, is we do interfund transfers. Like all those little districts transfer money to the Yorktown Sewer Fund. But to Susan's point, it becomes a lot simpler
It all has its own line.
when it's either Yorktown or Peekskill, that, it becomes a lot easier to track. Because remember, whatever it is, we got like the 11 districts plus the other 2 water funds. Like, it would just be impossible to track you know, somebody's here for half an hour, you know, it's just,
But to Susan's point, you know, what happens if there's a crossover with the labor between the two districts?
but what I'm saying is, we, right now,
Yes,
right,
that's a
right,
critical
right
question.
now, we do an employee matrix, and we try as best as possible,
To allocate it correctly.
based upon what people do in past experience, how many hours each employee will be working, or what percent of their time they'll be working in each of the respective districts. You know, right now, it's broken out to all 11 or 12, whatever it is. So, you know, now we're really just trying to split them into two districts.
It's gonna be easier.
Dan, I thought we spoke at one point of formulating a breakdown for labor based on the amount of infrastructure.
Well, if you could see from the one slide there, that it's almost a wash, that it's almost the same amount of pipe and same number of pump stations.
Except the pump stations are different. Some pump stations have no problems, very few problems, and other pump stations have serious and continuing problems. You know, two come to mind that are in the Hunter Brook, that are in the Peekskill system, all right, that have been problem systems. So more staff time has to be spent on those. All that I have been suggesting, okay, is that we already have work orders that say staff is going and doing extra repair work, fixing some blockage someplace, a pump station, whatever it is, okay, that it would just be not much additional time to say they spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's just ticking something off and adding it to a spreadsheet, so at least we have a more accurate reflection, because all of the staff time now are paid for out of the Halleck's Mill budget, all right? And it's only fair to the Halleck's Mill people that they should only be paying for Halleck's Mill O&M and not Peekskill O&M.
But if stuff happens
or vice versa.
Right, because if stuff happens at Peekskill, then it gets pulled out from the other side
It's
too.
gonna be, he said there's interfund transfers.
No,
from
those
all
are
the
gonna
districts.
stop.
Right.
That is
They're-
gonna stop
no,
with this new
they're
system.
not, no, they're not gonna stop.
It's gonna be.
It,
between
ha-
the two
it has to, it
districts.
has to be, Susan, because the new fund, right, we're doing interfund transfers for every one of those little districts. So we gotta add those all up, and all those, so now the Peekskill district's gonna have to do a fund transfer to YS.
That's it.
Yeah,
But it's gonna
it's
just be one
so it's
number.
not
It's
gonna
not gonna
stop.
be,
But what I'm saying,
It's going to be simpler. It's not going to stop, and it's going to be, I think, easier to track.
but here's one way to,
Going
say,
from
for
12
example,
to
Susan, I have two people that pretty much spend most of their time checking out pump stations, right? 8 and 8. Do I need to split hairs on you know, because there's going to be a month where they're going to maybe be more in Yorktown, another month they're going to be more over here. It's, you know, there's always something happening. So, but I hear what you're saying, but you know, the issue tonight is, once we fix it and set this system up the way we're talking about, then we can talk about that interfund transfer and how to best determine it through every budget cycle.
look, this is a vast improvement over what we've had, all right?
Saying thank you.
So I thank you
Oh, is that okay?
for finally getting this done. I think I met with you probably the week after I came on this board and said, we've got to move ahead, all right? So it's taken a little bit longer than I would have liked. You know me, I like to get things done quickly. But finally, we're getting this done because this was talked about in theory even before I came on the board. So I'm glad that
It
it's done.
actually wasn't theory. We were talking about it
We were
and
there,
working
but
at it.
nothing was getting done, all right? So I am so thankful that it is getting done, that we can get the law amended, we can get this going.
saying thank you.
2026 is going to be a training exercise, because we think that the $3 per thousand will cover expenses, but we're not sure, because we don't know what's going to happen with consumption. Hopefully we're getting new commercial meters, so we'll know if the laundries are recording the actual consumption that they're using. So there's going to have to be some adjustment, and as you said, by doing it in the master fee schedule, which we can adjust by resolution, we can fix that. So-
Up or down.
Yeah, up or
Up or
down,
down.
whatever happens. So I thank you for finally getting this done. This is an improvement over what you said was a hodgepodge that was created over the years that made absolutely no sense, was totally unfair. This is a vast improvement, and thank you.
All right, Dan, thank you for your responsiveness. I know it's been a large undertaking. I know I've been riding you like a dime store pony, and I've had a piggy bank full of dimes.
Geez, it would have been great to have another set of hands to help me with this.
It would have been. But at least now we'll have it for the finalization here.
I think I offered that a year ago.
So,
I think, sir, if we'd almost give you a desk
so,
down there.
so,
Technical. This is
thank you.
not a technical issue.
So, Dan, if we could get the proposal to Adam to look over, then we could get it out for referral.
All right, I got some comments from Susan.
And
so we'll-
I looked at it. It's very like 1.5 pages. I consolidated them, so there was no redundancy in the definitions, and it says very clearly, this applies to Halleck's Mill, this applies to Peekskill. It's very clear for what the people have to say, and then I pointed out one or two, questions that I had.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be, pretty straightforward. Really, it's
very
simple.
straightforward. It's just making it clearer and easier, to read. That's all I did.
So let's
Now,
move
don't
off
go
from
far.
let's move off from sewer revenue. Halleck's Mill Sewer District Expansion Phase
Wait,
1.
So is Adam going to look at the revised thing, and are we going to then see a draft before we refer it out?
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay, thank you.
Gotta give Dan a battery. Or an extension cord. One or the other will work.
Yeah, if you can hook me up with a battery,
You ever hear of this thing called Amazon, Dan?
I had to borrow this one.
Or Best Buy?
This is the sewage treatment plant one.
Okay.
That would just be another O&M cost. Simple.
I think they could probably cover the $45 for the battery. If not, we're in real trouble.
All right. So it's just an update to what's been going on with Halleck's Mill and what we've been thinking about. All right. So I won't bore you. We talked about this already, the different types of districts. So we'd done the feasibility study back in 2018 with our consultant back then, GHD. We did the map plan and report. We got the petition signed, had the hearing. We did all the steps. We got an additional grant. We submitted it to Albany. We got comments, and that's kind of where we got hung up. There were issues that we couldn't remedy, unfortunately, that would change the way the district assessment was working, and it was also an issue with the time that elapsed that also raised an issue as to what the budget was.
Right. So after COVID, the expenses went
Yeah.
skyrocketing.
Yes, they did. So this was the original 2019 proposal, which was like 315 parcels. That was like the three main areas. That magenta area to your right is Sunrise Street. The mustard colored ones, that's the Sparkle Lake area, and the red area was the Birch area. Again, just, this was, talked about as a phase one scenario. So again, the stats, 315 parcels, 14.3 million, 10 million from DEP, bonding 4.3, 30-year bond. Typical property was at 782. And this is kind of where it went sideways, because by the time we got to it, or, the 782 wasn't going to hold anymore, because 14.3 million wasn't the project budget. So in '22, we took the look at it again. We were, now we're up to like 20 million. Same bonds, but the bond now is at 9.1 million. So what that was doing, the typical property was going to be paying like $1,800 a year. So that was a non-starter. There's no point in even attempting to do that. So that's when we sort of said, let's see if we can pursue some grants through DEC, EFC, any other possibilities in terms of impacting that number, because we're at $20 million. Well, the $1,800 per parcel, and that's not including, you still got to pay the Halleck's Mill tax and all that. So, here we are now, so we didn't get any grants, so we don't want to, let this thing, keep dragging on. Again, this is what it would work out to, about, $2,500 when you add up everything.
It's a lot of money.
So what we did, a couple of things. So we looked at changing the way Sparkle Lake was going to be sewered, and we have a plan on how we're proposing to do that. So basically the same number of homes. Sunrise is unchanged, but the Birch Street, what we did is we took, so Sunrise looks like that, so that hasn't changed. North is to your left. But what changed was this, and that is that by going through the wetlands, or the edge of the wetlands, which is where gravity wants to go, we then looked at a couple of alternatives where we would either go down Hedwig Street or go down Alden Road. So the people in Birch are really the people that would benefit from this change to the way we would convey sewage out of the the Sparkle Lake neighborhood. Again, north is to your left, and you can see Sparkle Lake is right above it. All right, so here's so now we're at 148 parcels. We're at 14.4 million. East of Hudson. Oh, these slides got messed up. I'm sorry. That's a 13.5 is the new budget. So strike the estimated project. So the new budget is 13.5. Yeah, so that works out to 950. The spreadsheet, don't worry, that's not wrong. So we come up with 950. The spreadsheet got it right. The numbers got transposed. So the new number is 13.5. But there's less properties that we're serving.
Yeah, 148 now.
Yeah. So again, just the next steps end up being, we'll keep trying to get money. I mean, that's a game changer if we can. We'll just keep working every possible grant opportunity. Unfortunately, we have the money we have, so we're just trying to leverage it so we can get some part of this district done.
Yeah, I hear that.
Otherwise, we can hope for grants, but if nothing comes through, we really need to move forward with something.
How many times have we applied for grants for this project? I think twice. Twice, if I'm not mistaken, and been
No.
turned down twice.
We've applied.
Yeah, we've done it every
4 or
cycle.
5
Yeah,
times.
every
Yeah.
cycle we had a chance. We
Yep,
said something.
and we did receive a grant from Congressman Jones.
No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about from the state, the water for the
we
water quality
have
improvement program.
we
the
have been
biggies.
we have been turned down. We're looking to there is a pool of money put aside, and I've already talked to some of the people around the lakes. We're trying to do our local waterfront revitalization
This
board.
does not fit that.
Actually,
This is not waterfront revitalization.
I have people that sort of disagree, because even doing parks is part of waterfront revitalization, and
Sparkle Lake count?
and cleaning the sewers and all. Yeah, we're looking very heavily at that. Assemblyman Slater has been trying to lead the way on that with me and give me some direction, as he and that time Senator Murphy had all of our waterways recognized by the state. So this is a good possibility. I've already spoken to some people from the Sparkle Lake Association about getting on that board. Spoke to Aaron from Aaron Bach, who lives by Osceola. So there may be a good possibility of utilizing some of this. I am not going to kick my heels up and say, oh, well, it's not going to happen. I'm going to keep pushing and pushing. And right now we currently have an appropriations request from Congressman Lawler and both Senators Gillibrand and Schumer that have gone in. So we're hoping that that we could move this forward, and our next presentation might be a way to save a little money and maybe even expand where we're at that point as well. So we'll talk about that next.
On your plan to reduce the size of the district, you talked about this months ago, and the issue was, will DEC let us go through the Gomer wetlands? Have you heard from them?
Yes.
And what have they
We're
said?
trying to schedule a visit.
Oh, so so we still don't
We
know.
sent them a plan, yeah, so we sent them a plan of the project, and hopefully we'll be out there in the next couple of weeks with them. We also have a GPS receiver now, so we don't need a surveyor to pick up the flags.
So all of this is a moot point if the DEC, until we know if the DEC would
Oh,
legally.
Yeah, but I feel like it's really great that they want to come out and look at it, because
Yeah,
usually
I mean,
they shut it down right away.
I think that within reason, there's definitely a benefit to not having to pump. Now, if you remember, that whole Sparkle Lake neighborhood, they were all going to have their own separate pumps at each lot. So to me, that's a nightmare scenario. I want to avoid that any way I can. The other thing which kind of got lost that we were looking at was there's also well, I can't really point to it, but the northernmost lots in that neighborhood, there's property that the town owns that goes down to the lake, and that's also a state wetlands down by the lake, but we already have a sewer that runs down there. It runs along the east shore of the lake. So by running a sewer through the town-owned property, we can pick up a number of lots that previously were on pumps. So, we're trying to, try and value engineer this thing as best we can. And if we can avoid having pump stations, and we own all that wetlands too. So the other issue is, if there's wetlands mitigation, there's a lot of opportunity because we own that. It's not even all shown in the map, but all that green over there is all town-owned property. It even extends further to the north and all goes all the way to London Road. So that's all our property.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that I think this discussion is premature until we hear from DEC. If DEC gives us a green light, then we can proceed, and then we can talk about the grants and any other funding. Although I am a little more pessimistic about waiting for more grants, because every time and every year we wait for another grant, the costs only go up, they don't go down.
Well, that's why we're talking about it tonight,
But
because
we have to wait and get
on the
the-
grants, it's probably, we've tried, it's time to cut bait and just say, okay, let's run with what we
have.
know we
It's-
have.
it's about time.
And
It's
and
about time. And
advance this
delaying
thing
it and
based on
waiting
this.
for other stuff
And,
is just
the
gonna make
wetlands
the-
issue is an issue, but this is all the kind of stuff, when you do a map plan and report that we'll be doing in-house this time, that develops these numbers, develops these plans. I forget if we stuck the plan in here. We actually have a plan.
And
All
I,
I'm saying is come back to us when we hear.
actually,
when we-
Susan, since I'm the supervisor, and I asked Dan to be here because there are people that would like an update on what is happening. They want transparency. They'd like to know where we are. Eileen Burke being one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate to say, "Oh, come back when you have a Senate." Let them know where we are, what we're doing, what we plan to try to move forward with, because it's really important. Changing the number of parcels here and utilizing the money we have, breaking it into phases, so we could go for a grant for phase 2. Talking about project labor agreements to see what we could save. These are all things that I think it's very important to share with the public, because other than that, they're in a vacuum for what we're doing, and I don't think that's appropriate. Dan,
Yes,
thank you.
Except we.
No,
there's
except, Susan, I'm sorry, there's
more
no
additional
except.
information now. What we heard tonight is the same thing we heard. I'd have to go back in my notes what we heard months ago.
This is-
Other than the fact that you have sent your plan to the DEC for the Gomez Street
Well, no,
issue.
something has changed, Susan.
That's what has changed.
Something has
That's
changed
the only
because
thing
we
that's
laid out the sewers. We did a schematic design of the sewers. We computed the quantities and we developed a new estimate based upon a new design. I mean, this is how it works. So we're telling you that, you know, there's a way this can be done, and we need a lot of public outreach on this, because my recommendation is that, unlike what we did last time with the petitions, that we just do it on the town board's motion, which would be subject to permissive referendum. But, you know, this is the fastest way to put the numbers out there, do the map plan, the numbers in the map. There won't be a big lag between the map plan and report and the numbers in them and us filing in Albany. So
Dan,
it really
Dan,
is
don't,
more.
don't pump the brakes like Susan is suggesting.
I-
but keep your foot on the gas, okay, please?
That's all I've been asking.
All right.
You know, you've seen the emails that I send you. When are we hearing from DEC? When are we
Anyway,
hearing from
so
DEC?
Dan, thank you for
Thank you.
for putting it all together. Appreciate it.
Is there
All right.
anything else we had to say?
No.
I guess not.
All right.
Just trying to remember if there was one other slide I had to tell you.
I have a quick question.
Otherwise, I'll go away.
No, don't go away yet. When you figure these hookup costs, are those pump up, what do you use for your basis? Are they pump up systems or are they
It
an
depends.
average
pro-
of pump up systems and regular
What we do is
gravity feed?
when we get in, you know, we make estimates based upon topography and put the pipe at a reasonable depth. When we get into the nuts and bolts, actually it was done in Sparkle Lake, where they did get the elevations of people's first floors and their plumbing outlet elevations. But sometimes you just can't do it. You know, if somebody, you know, has a, you know, somebody's got a raised ranch, maybe the basement isn't that low. If they got a downstairs bathroom, but if somebody's got a full basement that they finished, there's got a shower in there, you know, the cost to accommodate one person sometimes isn't worth it. You know, and that's the kind of decisions we got to make. And, you know, sometimes they can just put a little ejector in their basement system if they don't already have one. You know, sometimes property, you know, I mean, every situation's different, you know, but we try to, I mean, because the Sparkle Lake area before, they were doing a low pressure system, which would require every house to have its own pump. And I'm not a fan if we can avoid it.
Understandably so.
All right.
And the generator.
And emergency overflow. It's a lot of overhead for a homeowner
Thank
to
you.
have.
It's for my own edification. That's
No,
all.
no problem.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you for your
All right.
time and your work on this. And
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
if you want to stay up and listen to a little bit about the PLA, I know we were talking about it before and the possibilities there. We'll ask Ed Cook to come up to the podium.
Little past my bedtime.
I know, and
Sorry,
I
Ed.
apologize. Ed,
That's all right.
This is actually early for us, though.
So my name's Ed Cook. I'm the vice president of the Westchester Putnam Building Trades. I represent 33,000 building tradesmen, professional carpenters, laborers, plumbers, operators, electricians. I'm a 42-year member. I'm a 42-year carpenter. I'm a 32-year member of Carpenters Local 279. I represent many members that live within the town borders. I'm here to talk about project labor agreements, not just for sewer projects, but for all municipal projects. Westchester County has law, anything over 250,000 multi-trade automatically comes into a project labor agreements. I negotiate project labor agreements from $250,000 to almost $1 billion for the Kensico Reservoir and the tunnel projects, and sadly, we heard about what happened at MGM tonight. Project labor agreements fiduciarily, they save 3 to 5% on average. Larger projects with more crafts and more personnel and a higher dollar amount, the savings can go up incrementally. Now, simple math. When you hire a union contractor, they have a legitimate benefit fund. Pension, health care, annuity, all those things are cost of doing business. So their cost per thousand is typically reduced by 26% on their liability insurance, their workers' comp insurance. So in theory, they can bid these projects, and they have a different tax liability, because when you don't have the certified funds that are recognized by the state and that are legitimate, you have to pay the tax, your workers' comp, and your general liability on the full prevailing wage. The building trades have a robust apprenticeship program. It brings people into the trades to help build these projects. We monitor the projects as they go on. The workforce is vetted, legitimate, and tax-paying, and we do the best we can to be local. We encourage towns and municipalities to work with the trades to bring apprentices into the trades from the local areas, depending on size and scope of the projects. It's obviously, for me, it's a better way to work. As a taxpayer, and having been in the non-union world and now in the union world for as long as I have, and now representing union members, I see the quality difference. I see the performance difference. I see the safety difference, and I see the savings. So as a taxpayer, I'd rather put more into a project than more into profit. So, and I've watched in my 25 years as a union representative going out on job site interviewing contractors, I've met with now 3 contractors that actually paid the full prevailing wage. When they found out that they could save their cost per thousand as cost of doing business, pay less in insurance, and make more profit, and be more competitive on bidding jobs, they actually signed up with the labor's unions, and they've been very competitive. Putnam County under Kevin Byrne we even found savings reluctantly, with their consultant lobbying hard to find the savings to meet a rotary project, which is 1, 2, 3 trades maybe at top: laborers, operators, and Teamsters. And he found savings for Putnam County that made it worthwhile. So the fiduciary responsibility of a town board to get into a project labor agreement, you have to either pay a consultant or you have to do the PLA study yourself. The consultant is your advocate. Project labor agreement consultants, it's like free market. It's not a free market. It's kind of like the costs are typically set. If it's $1 billion project, you're going to pay a little bit more, but the average costs are around $16,000 to $19,000, depending on size and scope of the project. But if you're talking about a $20 million project and you can just save 3% at a minimum, that's still 3% that you could either put into the project or save on project costs, while putting a legitimate tax-paying person on the rolls. It also protects when you have to file for certified payrolls. It protects the town's fiduciary responsibility, because you can work with the labor unions and find out actually who was on the project. Our professional contractors, through the CIC BCA, John Cooney's association, who we met with for water money, their contractors do the value engineering for you. A lot of the engineering costs are done by a professional contractor so that they can aggressively bid on the project and make it a better project and get the bid. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes savings that make it work. As far as flagging on a nighttime job and traffic control, when you use a legitimate contractor like Echo, Yonkers, ELQ, any of the big guys that have professional flaggers to help with the traffic flow, that have gone to traffic school. It's part of their professional training. You get carpenters that know how to work safe. You get operating engineers. Now, you think you jump on a piece of equipment, and you know this, you just don't dig a hole. There's a proper way to dig a hole, and there's a right way to dig a hole. They go to the operating engineers training program so that everybody in that job comes home safely. So there's a lot of benefits to a project labor agreement. Community benefits. The town board could work with the building trades, and on a large-scale project, we could put a percentage of local residents, if available, to have first priority to work with their tax dollars. We could work with BOCES or the Yorktown Schools for careers in construction. The Carpenters Union, the Laborers Union, and the Electricians Union have programs for women that want to get into the trade. I know with the electricians, you graduate, you can get a associate's or a bachelor's degree through the electric Electricians union paid for by the union. With the carpenters, you can get an associate degree paid through 4-hour training fund in construction management. So not only can your career go further as physically doing the work, but you can professionally do the work as a professional construction manager with trade experience. As far as pricing on the jobs, you can get, in the Westchester County had learned this, lowest responsible bidder, that's open language. The lowest bidder isn't always the most responsible bidder because you can run into problems. A lot of times you'll get into a job site where you see the low bidder, then all of a sudden the community's hit with extras. Well, we didn't figure that, it's an extra, right? Well, when you get into a project labor agreement and you have a better pool of contractors bidding these, they're more professional, they're more detail-oriented, they have professional estimators, they're going to come to you with the questions so your engineering department can answer them and the community gets a better project. So PLAs work. Westchester County uses them. Putnam County has reignited their use of PLAs. We had 4 in Putnam County. Dutchess County also is now in them. We do private, public, and we just did I think it's $1.6 billion project with Westchester Joint Waterworks south of the airport for clean water. Yonkers Contracting got that project. And what's nice about the union contractors on sewer projects, they have the proper flow rates. So you can't bid a sewer treatment plant unless you can meet the flow rate requirements. Our contractors can always meet those flow rates. So I'm willing to take any questions. I know it's late. We sent project labor agreements to everybody to review. This is a template that's actually been used, approved nationally. It's been approved by the state. The Rockland Building Trades, and now the Hudson Valley Building Trades are working off our template. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. A PLA also guarantees no strike, correct?
a PLA guarantees no strike.
By any of the trades
And it's non-exclusionary, correct. Any contractor on the planet can bid under a project labor agreement. We just had Peter Camilli won a bid at Mamaroneck, the sign shop in Mamaroneck. We're reaching out to him to make sure that the project will go smooth, and he recognizes the fact that it is, he's going to be working under the area collective bargaining agreements so that the costs are proper and everything is equitable. So there's an example of a non-union contractor getting a project based on the bid and assuming he is a responsible contractor, loosely.
One more.
Yes.
Like when you, correct me if I'm wrong, when we did the Tappan Zee Bridge, correct? When you have a project labor agreement, there are agreements in place that the project will finish within a specific amount of time and within a specific budget, correct?
Well, project labor agreements have always come 99% of the time on budget and on time. However, that is not a requirement. However, the state, the Veterans Bridge, when they redid the Arch Bridge, they had performance clauses. That was a project labor agreement, and the state was very smart with that project because you talk about value engineering. They utilize stainless steel reinforcing rod. Now, what does that do for a bridge? What happens to get a pothole, and you know this, you put on a concrete base, you put a steel rebar in, it gets a crack, salt water goes into that crack, it rots the rebar, leaves a void, water gets in there, expands, you get a pothole. When you have stainless steel rebar, costs more upfront on the material cost, but the labor's the same. They use stainless steel wire, so they have no voids. The bridge will last longer. So rather than getting a 25-year life out of the bridge, they'll get a 40-year life out of the bridge.
So I have a friend who worked for a company, started his own plumbing company, became a master plumber, went to the union for exactly that, for him to have security, control, quality, and also support, right? Like it costs more initially, but now his children also are under it.
It doesn't cost more because Article 8 in prevailing wage and municipal law, the prevailing wage is the union wage.
No, I meant like it cost him more to like want to be, like instead of him just going and being a night guy,
Training
he
is
ended up getting it all for free through the union.
Absolutely.
And now he's investing in his own children and they're all on payroll for the same exact thing.
Correct.
But I guess that
The union training is paid for by the contractor
right. I just feel like
through
there's
the
something
prevailing
people
wage.
forget about like that lineage that happens.
Well, I was actually a non-union contractor in my 20s. My wife worked at Reader's Digest. Her job was tenuous as Reader's Digest was failing. I had 2 kids on the way. I woke up one morning and I realized I'd have an old truck, old tools, and old customers that nobody wanted and anybody could take, right?
Right.
So I joined the union. Now I'm a 32-year member. I'm about, it looks like, I shouldn't say it publicly, but it looks like in the fall of next year I'll be retiring and I'll be able to live with security and dignity for my family.
My dad owned pizzerias and then sold the pizzeria with the mozzarella in it and became a Teamster.
Right.
An iron worker.
Right. So,
And
so,
he just retired
so
last year.
for residents that live in the community, you give them a future, you give them life, and by utilizing project labor agreements with a clause in that if available, Yorktown residents get first priority, and we work with your local school systems, then it's a win for the community. And as far as quality goes, and as far as having the right project bid, a lot of the times a project you'll have 3 union bidders and they'll all be within $200,000. And then you'll have a non-union guy that comes in
Yeah.
and he's $600,000 lower.
With a lot of change orders.
And the union guy knows what the rate is because it's the prevailing wage that he has to pay. So he bids the job in accordance to what the job is. So you get a more accurate number and you get a fairer bid with a professional craftsman on it that has been gone to apprenticeship school, that works safely, and you know.
But I mean, it's alarming. Just
you know, my dad was a paver and road builder, and you know
Right.
what? He gave us all a very good life. You know,
Well-
we weren't rich, but
Yep.
you know,
Well, you because he lived with dignity and had a retirement. I mean, in closing, I've been a union president, and I've never met a union member that didn't vote for me after I won the election. So,
Doing something
yes,
right.
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. You know, on the
I figured you would have had, but maybe, come on, only 2?
yeah, these agreements have to be signed individually for each project.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and then you said, if I heard you right, you need a consultant to study whether the agreement is worthwhile.
Well, yes, the project, each project, if you're, I shouldn't say this on mic, but if you're doing a $200,000 project, I wouldn't do a project labor agreement, but I would make sure you had a responsible contractor doing it. But Westchester
$20 million.
Westchester County has found, because the number of the projects they have, that anything over 250,000 triggers a project labor agreement because they know of the savings.
Each
Well,
one
when I used to work
needs
for, like,
this,
Triumph
and
and-
each one needs this study, which you estimate is $16,000 to $19,000.
Correct.
And that's a cost to the town.
Right, that's a cost to the town, correct.
Okay.
But you could save on that. So if you have a $20 million project and you could save 3% by spending 16,000, that's a pretty easy,
Right,
pretty
that's why you
fiduciary
Is this
responsible.
study
why you-
done-
that-
um,
Yeah, so
That-
go.
go
Let,
ahead.
let me answer her question.
At what point, if the town is contemplating a project, $500,000, whatever it is,
Right,
at what point is this study done? What,
prior to the bidding.
prior to the bid specs?
Correct. I can give you a list of four or 5 consultants that have worked on these projects. They are your consultant. Ed Race is the gentleman. He's a mom and pop shop. He's the gentleman that negotiated the Rotary near the Drewville Road Rotary. And in order to get the savings to produce a PLA, he kind of hit the unions very hard, and we had to give concessions so that the community could meet the minimum savings. So you cannot enter into a project labor agreement under New York State law, under the municipal prevailing wage law, unless you can prove there's 3% savings.
Well, if you don't have the bids yet, how do you know? Because you don't know what the bids are gonna come in. So
Because
how
that's
do you
where the
predict-
That's
consultant.
what a consultant is. But I believe that
Because-
some of the contractors actually have consultants on staff.
No, the community,
work with them.
your fiduciary responsibility as a board is to conduct a study. So if you call like Ed Race, he'll call you up and he'll say, don't even enter into the study. It's not worth your time. He knows right away. But you have to, like the sewer treatment plant, you already have a budget in theory, right? So you say, okay, this is our budget. Here's the project. You pay a consultant of your choice that negotiates against the union to find the savings, right? And sometimes the savings are eliminating 4 holidays.
Someone's just on the back end or the front. Yeah.
Shift differential, because under a project labor agreement under municipal law in the state, prevailing wage law, you can set up special terms and conditions
So the consultant will negotiate with the unions.
with the town's permission, correct?
And also the
But how
consultant
does
will tell you
that
if it's
deal
viable.
with the contractor who is eventually, it's the contractor who's going to submit the bid?
So in Westchester County, if you go to westchestercounty.gov, you can go to their Board of Acquisitions. They
There's a
have a list of the contract requirements. One of the lists in there is an executed copy of the project labor agreement, which are the work rules. That'll give the overtime, that'll give the holidays paid, and it'll give the work rules for that project. So they're incorporated with the town's bid specs. So the town will put their bid specs as to what they want for the project, 400 feet of sidewalk more.
Totally different animal in the city.
Yeah, it's just a better, it's a more complete bid.
Thank you.
Good.
That's it, Sue? Come on, you were easy on me.
And you were, I
And I appreciate your passion, by the way.
No,
tell
I
you-
might have some more.
no more.
Well, you can get my question and you can contact me anytime you want. Ed will happily give you your number. You know, this is a good way to work. It's a better way to work. You'll get a better quality project, and you'll be putting legitimate people to work where they're not stealing tax dollars.
It's a new concept to me, and as you've seen,
Yes.
I do homework and I ask questions, and I have to reach out to
I can
other
respect
people in
that.
the
That's your job as a legislator. The original Tappan Zee was the first project labor agreement in the country. So, and the second one came on schedule, on budget, and that's the goal. So thank you. I appreciate your
thank you,
time.
and-
Thank
and
you.
I want-
No, that's great.
All right.
Thank you. Also,
All right.
I have to say to you, last time we had spoken, you had mentioned a particular contractor, a bottom feeder, so to speak.
Yeah, I might have used those words.
And that came to fruition.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can't have an 80-year-old man drywalling productively and be on certified payroll when you've gone to the job site and notice that there's people there making $20 an hour.
I mean, when
on a
people show
municipal
you,
project.
trust them, right?
Well, no, we this is what we do for a living, and our job is to be fiduciary responsible. I'm a taxpayer. Your role as a town board is to be fiduciary responsible. So on larger projects, you can look at the Westchester County legislation and see the $250 mark. Some they
250,000.
$250,000 for
And to
project
your
labor
point, the
agreement.
reason why you're saying it's not worth it is because if you're spending 16 to 19,000
Right.
on 250,000,
But they can do this.
It's not even
They
half
can
of that.
the Westchester County's sophisticated enough because they have enough engineers
To find you somebody.
They do their own
to
study.
do their own study. There you go.
So having another engineer is a good thing.
I would say I have,
This is the comment.
and not only that, I was at a conference the other day that specifically addressed engineering and the issues with engineering among municipalities within the state and within private companies. There are not enough engineers, and the engineers that were civil are all aged out, and they get into the pension system, and because of the pension rules with counties and states, they have to leave the state, and then they come back to the state at a higher price as a consultant because they know the program. So there's a problem with engineering statewide.
Well, thank you for
So
that.
thank you.
Ed, thank you. I know we've been looking to get you in here a while. So
Glad you came tonight.
And if you have questions, get my number and please call. All right? I expect them to be hard.
all right.
Take care, Ed.
So let's move on to resolutions. From the Parks and Recreation Department, authorize the town supervisor to sign an amendment to the contract with Weston and Sampson for engineering services related to the Brian J. Slavin Aquatic Facility Coping Project. Authorize the comptroller to process budget transfer for the change order number 1 to the Weston and Sampson to replace the existing tile coping within the Brian J. Slavin Aquatic Facility. From the Water Department, award the bid for water maintenance materials for the Water Department to the lowest bidder for each items as enumerated below. Can I have a motion?
Wait, do we have another resolution that we're going to do?
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Yeah, okay,
Well, let's do these first, and then we'll read that one in.
okay, thank
Motion.
you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then, I'm sorry, let me just find that resolution real quick. All right, Resolved, town clerk is authorized to issue a request for proposals for real estate brokerage and auction services in connection with the property at 3650 Lexington Avenue. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Just to explain, that's an 8.9 acre town-owned property that we are considering selling.
All right, you have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night,
Good night,
Yorktown.
Yorktown, and thank you. Wow, everyone cleared out. You two